Welcome once again to the PokerStars Arena, hosting the 2022 edition of the Spring Championship of Online Poker. And we have the Sunday Million on a Tuesday. Well, it is a special edition, a $530 buy-in event, and with 2,912 total entries, it does take 3 days to play down to a winner. So today is the final day, with 9 players remaining, playing for the Scoop Trophy and a first prize of more than 210 grand. Hello everyone, I'm James Hartigan, alongside me is Joe Stapleton.
Hello my babies!
And as I said earlier on social media, Joe, it's the best of both worlds. If you like our Scoop coverage, if you enjoy our Sunday Million streams, it's a combination of both today. Not sure we can deliver the high that we had last night, though, with Finton winning his third title.
It will be for someone, right? Like, we won't know the person, more than likely. We probably won't be able to pipe them directly into the broadcast, but I can promise you, whoever wins this today will be just as happy as Finton was yesterday.
Well, let's get to the final table, and the key observation about the lineup at this FT is that more than half of them come from the continent of South America. We have 3 Brazilians at the final table, a player from Uruguay, and the player who has the vast majority of the chips, Nutshell, who is the overwhelming chip leader, is from Chile.
Do you think it's only a coincidence that the World Series of Poker was held at the Rio and the Brasilia room and the Amazon room, and now there's nothing but Brazilians in all of these events all over the world?
I, on the one hand, would like to say that this was somehow prescient. On the other hand, I am going to go with coincidence.
Not looking good for Bouillabaisse here.
Yes, so Bombas playing from Canada with just ace high. Corn 2005, another Canadian player with top pair.
Remember that Corn song? Where they're just like...
I mean, I'm finding it hard to distinguish which song that is, because they all had that very distinct sound.
Didn't producer Chris just go to 2 days of Corn concerts in London?
I don't think that's his vibe. So we have reached the river on the first hand of the final table, and the value bet from Corn 2005 of 1.2 million into 3.7 million. And Bombas, don't do it. My finger's on the button in case you pull the trigger, buddy.
This would be awesome.
No, folds. Let's introduce our analyst for this evening, Nick Walsh, back with us on the Spring Championship of Online Poker. And obvious thing you'll spot, Nick, is that we did have the prospect of some squid at this final table, but Sam Grafton did not make it, falling in 24th place last night. So I don't recognize any of these names. I don't recognize any of these avatars, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, the only avatar that I might recognize for some reason is Corn 2005. It was Freak on a Leash, Joe. It was Freak on a Leash.
Come
on, everyone knows that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't recognize any of these names. None of them stand out to me in particular. I'm sure we might have run into them before. Yeah, GG's to Sam, though. A couple really nice deep runs so far this series. Good to see.
So we have Corn going to the flop here against chip leader Nutshell. Mentioned that Nutshell's playing from Chile. $900,000 in total PokerStars earnings, and has made the final table of a Sunday Million before, back in 2017. And here's a hashtag fun fact courtesy of StatTrick. With an 8th or better finish tonight, Nutshell secures their best ever online cash.
Well, I'm starting to see why Nutshells has all of the chips, especially if we manage to see a spade on the river. Or an 8.
Yeah, absolutely. but we don't get to the river. Nutshell wins it with that bet on the turn, up to 52.5 million. And just to put it into perspective, the second biggest stack is Korn 2005, who has 20 million.
You got that stuck in my head
Nick,
now, Joe. It's playing out in my head nonstop. That one sequence from the Korn song.
So did you go to the 2-day Korn concert in London also?
It wasn't Korn. It was in fact Tool. I went to one of the days. But one cool little feature though that I thought was interesting was at the end of the concert. This isn't a spoiler at this point. They dropped a bunch of confetti, and it was all very dramatic. And Tool is a very dramatic kind of atmospheric, progressive kind of band anyway, right? But somebody discovered that if you collected enough of the confetti, if you put together 12 of the pieces in the right order, it actually created a completely custom poster that you could obviously then later frame that wasn't available as merch or anything like that. And it was different for all of the days.
I think
so Tool is now arts and crafts?
I think this might get called. This is a short stack all in. And with King Queen does make the call. Radek Parik ahead but at risk, and Ace High is going to hold here, so that is a double up for Radek Parik. And Korn drops down to just shy of 16 million. We have got a couple of super short stacks. Dr. Dirk playing from Latvia, and Periscopio 76, the Uruguayan player at this final table. Neither player has 10 big blinds. They are both in the danger zone.
Danger zone? I only know that because I had a party at my house this weekend, and at like 3 in the morning, someone grabbed the music and put that song on.
That's my kind of party.
And they are never welcome at your home ever again.
No, it's a banger. It's an absolute banger. Yeah, come on.
It went over really well. It was well timed.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want it on all night, but like I think around that time is still acceptable. If they put it on at like 6 in the morning, you got problems.
No. You can finish that sentence a lot earlier. You don't want to put that on. Full stop.
But yes, Tool was really cool. I don't like Tool as much as Chris does. I mean, I appreciate them. Good band, very, very influential in the music that I do enjoy. But at some point, it does get a bit repetitive. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
You are what you listen to.
In which case, I'm a freak on a leash, and Chris is very repetitive, I guess.
So
Tool.
Beto BR is shockingly one of the 3 Brazilians at this final table. This is Marcelo Beto, who has folded the Grafton 10-9 suited under the gun. Instead, it's the chip leader who opens the action with ace-9 off.
Beto, a very popular name in Brazil, also Rezo.
And now the monkey in the big blind. Jack-7 of hearts.
Are orangutans monkeys? Not really sure.
Is it an orangutan or a chimp?
I think that's an orangutan face.
Does anyone really care?
I don't know. If you study the difference between orangutans and chimps, there's quite a big difference, and then personality-wise.
Thanks, James Franco, for the contribution.
I was a big fan of Orangutan Island back in the day. I don't know if you guys ever checked that one out.
I am kind of semi-embarrassed to admit that as a child, I loved those Clint Eastwood movies with the orangutan. And then as a teenager, rewatching them was like, these are terrible. Like, how did I ever think this was good cinema? That this was even remotely entertaining?
Because you were a kid, and kids are dumb.
Good point, well made.
Little blind v blind action here. Beto just going to go raising it up, taking it down pre-flop. Not too shabby. Oh, hello.
Here we go.
Aces. So ace 10 opens. It is Ketsa Felipe. And this is another one of the Brazilian players at the final table.
Yeah, I think they're too deep here. He's going to have to 3-bet. I don't think there's any real alternative here, especially you just don't really want to mess around and invite other people into your pot, when there's this many on a final table and there's ladders to come. But I think ace-10 is going to be one of those hands that even the under-the-gun player doesn't even love to open from this spot anyway. It's in the range. He's just going to raise fold it pretty much every time here, and that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, so all 9 players have locked up 14,000. There is more than a 5K pay jump, though, if you can ladder into 8th. And as we established, the chip leader Nutshell will lock up their best ever online cash with an 8th place finish or better. Ace-King opening here. It's Bigodin Sagaz.
Wow, what a name.
This is the 3rd of the Brazilian players at this final table.
Isn't Bigodin Sagaz the name of the lead singer from Tool?
It sounds like
danger. Danger. Up Periscopio with King Queen. I think we could see a shove here, and waiting right behind them is Bombast with aces.
Yeah, he's going to queue him up here. King Queen's going to probably want to open this a lot of the time too. So there's going to be chips in the pot already. Oh man.
And
This
aces
is a chunk of Periscopio.
Flat here? No, it's a re-raise, so Beto can get rid of the snowmans.
Num 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 num.
Beto, foldo.
Wow, this was a big open, right, from Periscopio.
Ooh.
It's a chunky open. I don't think he's opening to fold here. Yep.
Oh. And a little bit of hope on the flop, but nothing on the turn, nothing on the river, and we do get our first elimination from the final table. Periscopio 76 from Uruguay, eliminated in 9th place, cashing out for just over $14,000. 8 players remain, all now guaranteed nearly 20K.
So I'm going to recommend that everyone Google Bonebase's name, but turn your safe search filter on before you do it if you don't want the first 5 pages to be things that will get you in trouble.
A few people asking about the delay on the stream. 30 minutes on the action. Obviously, we're calling the action live. So to comment analyst on YouTube who says that it's a 91-minute delay. Firstly, random number. Secondly, wrong with a capital R.
I assume because they wrote 91 minutes that it was intentionally wrong. I actually got a chuckle out of that one.
In that case, I will allow it.
I want to hear the rest.
It's sometimes hard to tell with our audience.
I want to hear the rationalization behind that when he's like, yeah, hey, let me tell you why it's 91 minutes.
I think the difference between Twitch chat and YouTube chat is like the difference between an orangutan and a chimpanzee. Both primates, one of them distinctly more violent and volatile than the other.
Ace-9 of spades, a little bit of temptation here. Probably gonna want to come along here once in a while. There it is. There's a call. Ketzer,
All our
Felipe.
desires. Temptation.
Big Odin, Sag as in the big blind. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Hello.
Oh, Sagaz. Sagaz.
I mean, this looks bad in a vacuum, but not in general. This could be something, right? I mean, it's late position, a flat in the small.
Yeah, but it's much more fun to look at it in a vacuum and say, look at this guy re-raising with King-Jack offsuit into Ace-King.
I think the squeeze is really cool, but it was really big, right? It was. I don't think you need to go necessarily that big to get it through.
You got your answer.
Yeah.
So Ace-Queen this time for Nutshell, who has extended their chip lead, by the way, up to 56 million now, and worth highlighting that the second biggest stack is Ketzer Felipe, who's got 18 mil. And Nutshell closing in on the 60 million mark now, has been dealt the Spraggy Ace-7 offsuit.
I think it's the biggest stack here, probably okay for them to go ahead and open this. Obviously, Corn's probably going to be the active player first, so A7 is going to go in the bin here. But it is cool to try and anticipate what the big stacks are going to be doing on the final table to try and apply additional pressure. I think even going as wide as A7 here would be totally fine, trying to put the pressure on some of the short stacks who really, really would love a ladder here.
So Corn 2005, a player with 500k in PokerStars earnings. This is their third Scoop final table, but they have not yet claimed a Scoop title. Radek Parek has made the call with King Queen suited, and we could be going heads up to the flop unless Beto decides to flick in another 350k with Jack 3 offsuit. Agreed.
Ooh. What a flop. What a flop. Obviously, this is a nice board for the nines, but King Queen with the 2 overs and the hearts obviously has mountains of equity.
Yeah, it's still practically a flip.
This feels like the kind of board like you can just like protect, take it down on the flop. Nope.
Wow. Yeah, there's one less heart in the deck there with the 9 of hearts, so obviously what an unlucky turn. I think the Jack is also kind of a blessing, though, for Corn, too, because when you think about the hands that call in this position and then float on this kind of a texture to try and bluff later streets, like Jack 10 suited, King Jack suited, you know, maybe even Ace Jack and Ace Jack suited sometimes as well are in this position, too, given the ICM pressure. Could even be reasonable to have that without the ICM, too, if it was in a different setup. Oh, wow. But the river runs out from the boat. Corn with the counterfeit here.
What a ludicrous run out that saves Corn.
Hard way.
Is this a counterfeit, guys? Can we call this a counterfeit? It kind of is, right?
I guess
it's a rare one. It's a very rare one.
Yeah, it's a counterfeit for sure.
And is Radek Parek going to be dissuaded with trips on board?
At least you're losing to 69, right? 69, 69, 6.
I mean, all into call, and literally any pair is beating you right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. That was a chunk for Radek.
I kind of feel for Radek Parek there. Pocket sevens for Nutshell, who still has this dominant chip lead with 8 players remaining in this special edition of the Sunday Million. Started on Sunday, $530 buy-in. Close to 3,000 entries, so this actually exceeded its guarantee by nearly 500k.
Wow. Wow, that's chunky. Okay, Jack 10 suited there with an opportunity on the button, decides not to come along. I do think with the additional dead money there, it's kind of a cool spot, but I can appreciate the pressure that he's under here. Not even the shortest stack at this table, and obviously a spot where you want to flop trip jacks and you always call on the button every single time. Yeah, obviously this not a good board for Jack 10.
Yeah, not good. Just call.
Ketzer. Oh, Ketzer. Ooh, now I've picked up a gut shot. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, it really feels like
you have to bet twice here.
Yeah, it feels like Nutzel just has ace king high or ace queen high, right, when he checks the flop. So I think Ketzel probably finds another barrel here. He doesn't have to go big, though. He can make like $1 million in a bit, and he probably has the same effect to try and get some ace size to fold. And I think he has these kinds of hands in his range where he can be betting, you know, for value, like pair in his hand or Jack X, Jack 10, something like that. Decides to go for about 2/3 pot instead.
Drawing dead on the turn. 2 million into 3.2 million.
What do you think, Joe? You just I was going to say, do you ever just flat and then let him go again on the river? I mean, you're looking for a spade river a lot of the time. You're looking for him to value bet a jack or, you know, something like that.
Nick,
raises instead.
Even without the hole cards, my advice to this player would have been to flat. If I'm in that seat, I 100% make the same raise. Like, it's do as I say, not as I do.
So just to be clear, Nutshell has crossed the 60 million mark and has better than a 3-to-1 advantage over the player who sits in second place on the leaderboard.
What do you think, chat? You flatten that turn? What are you going to do there? I think flat turn check river and let him just keep bluffing or try and value bet again or make the flush or make the straight. I guess the only bad river is a king or a 10. That might give him a boat or something like that. If he had a jack, obviously, you know what I'm saying.
So Bombay's folds to the 3-bet. And I can't help but notice that Dr. Dirk is like in the hyper danger zone. What's that? Fewer than 2 bigs?
Yeah.
Danger zone.
Ultra danger zone.
Extreme danger zone.
It's not looking good for the Doctor. Ace Queen for
Dirk
Beto.
needs a prescription for something better than 9 high.
Yeah. Well, this might be raise and take it for Beto.
Ooh.
Never mind. Hello.
I mean, you wield that chip lead, Nutshell. You do it.
You go, Glen Coco.
Lacked better name asks, is that really Durr? I'm going to hazard a guess and say no.
It's really a photo of Durr.
Of all the places in the world Tom Dwan might be playing from, I'm going to say Latvia is probably not high on the list.
Also, you know, lacked better name. Just a question for you. Do you think Durr is his real name and Dr. Durr Q is his nickname? Durr is the nickname.
A certified doctor.
Well, here we go.
Oh, here we
the
go.
Doctor is in, all in for nearly 600k, and oh dear, Radek Parek has picked up aces, reshoves, isolates, and here we go. A 7 on the flop. No help on the turn or river. Instead, it's Barry Greenstein sealing the fate of Dr. Dirk, who cashes out in 8th place for $19,784. 7 players now remaining, and Nutshell still with the commanding chip lead.
Boy,
That's
I
a
hope
pretty
sure
cool spot.
Durr is going to be okay.
That's a pretty nice spot, waking up with aces in the small blind. Feels good. I mean, Radek definitely one of the players that wanted that chip injection as well.
Just to be clear, guys, I was not hating on Latvia. I'm just saying it's not a location where Tom Dwan lives.
Okay, so it's king high board here for Ketzer Felipe. Our big blind, though, who decided to come along with king 3 suited, though, is extremely dominated. Does have some backdoor clubs, though, which are coming in now. And, of course, that straight draw to go with, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's up and down. It is the bum end of the straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is the straight that if the 7 comes, some 8x is going to be there. Indeed, look at Nutzel's hand here. So king queen's going to defend. I think king 3 suited has the easiest call of their entire lives, especially with the 16 mil behind.
Yeah.
And there's the
there
club
you go.
on
Both of
the
them.
river. The flush for Sagaz.
And
Yeah.
the straight.
For
Oh, yeah.
Nutshell, unfortunately folded, though. Might have got some more value out of the 8 of diamonds here, but this is kind of the run out where I think king queen's not going to love it, especially given the fact that the big blind flatted here. They're going to have all kinds of straighty, flushy situations here, especially given the action on the flop.
Okay, so what do? Check and then have to decide against a huge bet here?
I mean, I honestly don't know which way you're supposed to go here. I don't know if you're going big or small. You either completely. I think you either completely polarize or you go small. I think in this case, because you're going to have so much more of this than the small blind. The problem is that the 8 is something that the small blind might have too, right? They might be in here with a hand like 8-7 suited once in a while. I'm not really sure in the context of the final table if this player would have that in their range. They go big instead. I think it was 6 million if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, nice.
And that's going to take us to the end of the session. 2 eliminations so far. So as the players take a break, Nick also gets to take 5. As Joe and I are going to get an update from our Scoop correspondent. It is officially day 9 of the Spring Championship of Online Poker. With a series this long, it's hard to keep track and easy to lose count of the days. Luckily, we have the PokerStars blog to do the work for us. And there is one man in particular who is very good at gathering data and crunching the numbers. And here he is. He's got the looks, he's got the brains. He's Howard Swains. And Howard, we have to start with last night's headline story. Fins in hand, winning his 3rd scoop. He streamed it, we streamed it, and then you wrote about it.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing victory, wasn't it? And Finton is getting really good at scoop. This was a 2K Sunday warm-up. It had 283 entries. He ended up with 72 in bounties and 119k score. So he previously won in 2020 and 2021, so he's won a year for 3 years now. He's won a 1k, a 2k and a 5k, and they've all had really tough fields. Finton actually mentioned on stream he wasn't sure if any other Irish player had got 3, and they haven't. There's a guy called Thomas Gazelnius who plays as Lucky Mo 32 from Ireland, but he's Lithuanian. He has 3, but other than that, Steve O'Dwyer has 2, another guy called NR1 in Europe, number 1 in Europe, he has 2, but Finton is the only Irishman in Ireland with 3 scoop titles.
And we saw him celebrate at the pub later. I have to read you back this description of the winning moment, authored by your good self, Mr. Swains. All composure left the building as Dad danced around his apartment, knocking down decorations, frightening his dog, and then hugging his pregnant girlfriend in celebration. I can hear your voice as I read that.
Well, yeah, I write what I see. That's what happened.
All right, well, let's stay away from editorializing and just go with the numbers. I need stats. Now that most of the Sunday majors are done, where are we at?
110 tournaments completed, 415,000 entries, nearly 28 million in prize pools, and nearly 4.5 million to the winners. We've got 10 tournaments currently underway, and another 18 are starting today. So it's very busy out there.
All right, yesterday we made a game time decision. We went with Finton, which I guess paid off. But the cost of that was missing Clash of the Titans. What happened there?
Yeah, that was a good final table too. It ended with 2 Brazilians heads up. P. Vigar and Wizard of Az. That's Pedro Garagni and Lucio Lima. Garagnani won it. It was his first scoop. He took 161k.
Any other notable winners from day 8 that we need to know about?
Yeah, 2 huge winners last night. Nicholas Astet, Lena 900, who has the most of any winnings of any online tournament poker player. He won his 6th scoop in a 1K PL08. And Peter Trapley, who is Bella Baxi, he won his 3rd scoop. According to the stats database, Trapley has now won 1,066 online tournaments, which is kind of ridiculous. I've also got Dinesh Out, Nasty Minder. He won 1, that's his 3rd. And The Drunk Life, a guy called James Whittet, he became a double champion, the 3rd of this series so far.
I like that name. Howard, any change on the leaderboards?
No surprises here. No, not really. Brazil still streets ahead in the country's leaderboard, and pre-move is still really strong in the overall player leaderboard. So no, things might happen there, but at the moment, no real change.
Well, thank you very much for the update, Howard. Suffice to say, we will talk to you tomorrow night during our super high roller coverage. But for now, thank you.
Cheers. Good night.
Well, of course, the final winner of that leaderboard will be inducted into the Scoop Hall of Fame alongside all previous players of the series. and all former high buy-in main event champions. So tonight we are covering the Sunday Million Special Edition. 7 players remaining at the final table, and they are returning from break. That means we need to bring Nick back from his short break, give Joe an extended break, and continue to follow the action in Scoop 35M. Blinds are currently 200,000, 400,000 with a 50k ante. And we've got ace 10 versus ace queen in the blinds, Nick. This could get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen certainly the events that I've been involved with thus far, we have seen some very, very quick final tables, and it seems like the chip stacks are such that we might see one tonight as well, James. We've already had those 2 busters already, but then, of course, looking at the 400,000 big blind here, a lot of players who are definitely going to have to start making some moves to remain in this tournament as the blinds come around. I think blind v blind here, we know what's going to happen, though, especially on a final table. I think this is probably going to go in the middle, James. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and Radek Parek is now the shortest stack with 6 million. There are ICM considerations, but with a hand like ace queen, blind v blind, completely understand the shove, and Sagaz, I guess, is going to be forced to fold the ace 10 off.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a spot where you want to be risking that many chips, especially as you pointed out, Radek Parek there as a shorty. So next hand, getting into it. 7 remaining guys, as I just mentioned, and of course, looks like we got a lot of players with a whole lot of junk. Even on the button, I'm not sure if Big Odin Sagaz or Big Odin Sagaz, however you pronounce that. I don't know. Maybe his name's Odin and he's a big guy. Maybe it's Big Odin. Who knows? I think probably just going to be giving it up a lot of the time. It might be a stretch, Odin. But you know, hey, what's up? They call me Big Odin around here.
So we are playing with a 30-minute clock in this event. So that means blinds going up every half hour. Currently playing 200, 400.
Yeah, 30 minutes is quite speedy. You know, especially with this much money riding on it at this stage, right? Think about busting in 9th here and just being 8 spots away from a 6-figure score. Really, really, really serious ICM considerations here, especially when you remember, Joe, as we always point out, Sunday Million Special Edition. Sunday Millions are the ones where we get to see a lot of people we don't recognize, and you know, a lot more play that we probably wouldn't come to expect from some of the absolute greatest in the world who are playing the 10Ks and 25Ks and all that kind of stuff that we've had the pleasure to cover in the past.
Sabers asks, did the blinds get rolled back from 350, 700? No, we started this final table with the blinds at 175, 350. So 350 was the big blind, and now we've gone to 200k, 400k blinds. And as you can see at the top of the screen, in 25 minutes they'll go up to 250,000, 500,000. I had to double check in the lobby just in case we'd done something funky, but no.
Yeah, so basically, guys, here we go. Like little blind v blind action here. I wonder if Beto actually has a bet on this river. I mean, definitely can represent that king-queen straight with the blocker. Can still represent a hand like ace-x here if his opponent was calling down with the hearts or with maybe a bear 10. King 3 of hearts, obviously super duper unlucky. Has a really easy call on the flop, and then obviously the combo draw on the turn with the gut shot and the flush draw. Looks like they're going to give it up here at this point, but now Korn has the opportunity. But having 2 hearts in your hand on this river isn't a great hand to then turn into a bluff, or at least it's not. You prefer to have no hearts because you'd like your opponent to be betting the flush draw that now missed that might be likely to give up, right? So in this case, this guy's going to go check, check, and they're going to chop it, but definitely an interesting river there for sure.
So just to be clear, that was a chop pot. And Nick, you know what they say. Everyone loves a chop pot. I think we can do better. In fact, I'm confident like we can do a lot better.
Okay, I feel like it was close, though. No?
Not
Maybe
close enough, I'm afraid.
Sorry, chat. Okay, I honestly think that the delay has been a little bit funky recently. I feel like I'm a little bit further away from you guys than normal. But we'll get there, guys. We got to find the new delay pattern. Nutshell, big blind, ace-6 off. The opportunity to defend versus the absolute pure min raise from Ketzer Felipe.
I'm so
I mean,
Harmony
it's
says,
just-
this might be crazy, but is Nick using auto-tune?
I've been taking singing lessons. You know, I take my job extremely seriously. I've been preparing for this moment. Scoop is, you know, Scoop comes but once a year. It's important. The old chop pot song. Okay, here
Well,
you go.
most people-
Corn an opportunity here. 9-10 suited on the button.
Most people rate the chop pot performance out of 10, but Such Sweet Thunder has gone with a grading system, and we scored a C, just like Moonraker. And I would like it stated on the record, I was not the first person to bring James Bond movies into the conversation this evening. That's on you, my friend.
I love it. So sure enough, 9-10 suited did choose to come along here. I actually don't mind a bet here from Korn. I feel like Ketzer's going to be pretty honest if they have a king in this situation, so I think betting at least the flop here would make sense, but I don't think it's crazy for them to check either, right? They want to control the size of this pot, and they don't want to get check raised here too liberally, and they also don't want to build a pot where they can't just call down to showdown a little bit more easily. So it can go either way, but I think there is pros to both. Wow, overbet the turn. This is such a cool line from Ketzer. Having missed the opportunity to bet the flop, which is pretty conventional here, and I do appreciate the check to a certain degree as well because Korn will have some King X and Queen Jack and that kind of thing that won't want to give up. They then decide to overbet turn and really push out that 10X and all that, and you can see how effective that was, right? Even though Korn did actually hit that board in a meaningful way, that line instead kind of gave him some information because from the check behind on the flop, and then he used it to his advantage on the turn by overbetting and pushing out what is a hand with considerable equity there still on the turn.
Button raised from the chip leader with Jack 10. Pocket fours all in for Radek Parek.
Yeah, this is confirmed standard for sure, and as the shortest stack, there's really no two ways about it. You know, does Nutshell ever gamble here? Probably it's a little bit too much. It still is a chunk of his stack, and he doesn't want to be doubling up shorties at this point.
So Radek Parek, playing from the Czech Republic, has $1.4 million in total PokerStars earnings. And this is the player, Nick. This is the player who busted Sam Grafton yesterday in 24th place. Kings beat Queens. So at least they didn't suck out on Sam, but even so, boo you, Radek.
Yeah, boo you. Team Pro for life, man. You messing with my homies now. It's personal. I don't know. Queen Nine's kind of a nice
Doom
hand.
switch.
I wish they'd turn my Doom switch off. I'm going to work on them deactivating mine before we start putting on any more. Come on, guys. All right, so Radek again with the opportunity here. I think this is probably a pretty clear shove if it folds round to him. Once there's been an open, probably still good enough to go. I mean, he is the biggest stack there, but he might want to avoid the fives. I honestly don't know what the adjustment is there, how small you want to be playing. But just goes to show you how powerful it is, James, right? Nutshell just opening up from this position, and he just takes all the power away from Radek to actually make a play that would just be super, super standard, very, very easy for him to make.
Wow. Sizable or decent size 3-bet from the button from Ketzer Felipe. 2.2 million with ace-4 offsuit. Should get rid of both blinds here. And I guess Nutshell?
Yeah, I think so. And this goes to show you how cool this spot is, right? I mean, we know that Nutshell is going to be opening a wider range. We've discussed that at length. And Ketzer Felipe has one of those kind of perfect, like weak offsuit at ace-x combos. And look at the flop.
Oh, wow. So Nutshell calls, does flop a diamond draw, but it is trip aces for Ketzer.
This is a really interesting flop opportunity here. I think a really small bet is cool, like 1 mil.
How do you play the diamond draw on this board? Oh,
aggressively.
So check raises to 4.8 million, and if you're Ketzer, is it a case of just go with this now? Get your chips in, hope for the best?
You're so scared about your kicker here. You are so concerned about your kicker at this point. You're like, why did I 3-bet this combo?
What are
Why didn't I just let it
Blockers
go?
thing, though, Nick. There's only one ace left in the deck.
No, I don't think you're getting away, of course, James. But still, it's just that one niggling doubt in the back of your mind, like, oh, just as ace jack suited or something. But would he check raise ace jack at this point? Wouldn't he give you the opportunity to bluff? Continue bluffing as the three better, as the pre-flop aggressor. So I think generally for my money, yeah, you're just going busto here, but you're looking at Radek Perek stack and you're like, oh man, if just
Look,
that very small percentage of the time is bad.
Understand taking your time over this, but to put this as nicely as I can, I certainly am not good enough to fold here.
I'm not sure you should either, given the information, right? It does seem unusual for Nutshell to flat with a combo like Ace 10 suited, Ace Jack suited, and then check raise this big on the flop, right? Like this is almost a 5x check raise.
Yeah.
So I think all things being equal, it's not even like they're very deep. So he's concerned about getting the rest of the chips in if he does have a big ace, which is why you might want to check raise these textures. So he's sweating it, and I understand why, because of course you can be outkicked in these situations, especially given 3-bet call. But overall, I think you're probably just going to be winning too often. It's whether or not you shove now or you flat. And I guess if you think he's going to have flush draws, wow!
Folded!
I'm gone, guys. I'm dead. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
the net result of that is that Nutshell now has 65 million chips. And we're almost at that point. And we referenced it yesterday when Finton had the huge chip lead shorthanded. We referenced it in Monte Carlo at the final table of the last EPT, where Marcelo Samoas had the huge chip lead. You just start open jamming on your opponents. Put them in ICM jail.
Yeah, we did have a question in the chat. Sorry, guys, let's watch this hand really quick. But I wanted to address something about that too, James. Somebody was asking the question about Nutshell just shoving any two. I think it's going to get through, yeah. And at this point, I think it probably would still be too reckless. There are stacks here that do represent a considerable amount. And of course, these guys can do some of the work for him, knocking each other out too. So it's not necessarily advantageous to be putting pressure on, some of the largest stacks here, but we're getting down to that point. That is well spotted. I think Nutshell can start shoving any two, especially against the players directly to his left, I think very, very liberally. Although that's probably not the best strategy. It is a possibility, but probably not the best when you can just take fewer risks and apply as much pressure as you would do had you just raised it. Look at the flop here.
Ooh, sourdough.
Artisanal sourdough.
Artisanal.
Oh, wow. I kind of really feel for Ketzer Felipe because now, of course, the
Yeah.
delay will have caught up. Assuming that Felipe's watching this stream, if for nothing else other than the card information, now is just like kicking himself.
Sure. And, I really feel for Ketzer here. The pressure is immense, and the play from Nutshell is so strong. It's so strong for him to play his hand that way. So it is really terrifying, and I appreciate the fold. I know it doesn't look good when you get outplayed by King High there, but, you kind of know where his head's at, right? Corn just going to stab. This is such a brave stab from Corn, James, especially against the big stack here, right? Like, I mean, he has 8 deuce off, so he's going to fold it, but he's going to float so wide as the big stack there, and he's going to get away with murder in position in those situations.
Bigger than Sagaz, ace, king of clubs. Shouldn't meet too much resistance to this raise to 880,000.
How can he be watching with the 91-minute delay? Very good. Well played.
Oh, that's going to haunt us for many weeks/months to come, I fear.
Can we have an April Fool stream, James, where we have a 91-minute delay just to troll everyone? All right. Folding round. Nutshell on the button. Now, here you go, guys. This is the spot I was talking about. Now, theoretically speaking, I'm sure he probably could just ICM ship this every single time, but he doesn't really have to, right? He could just min raise and apply just as much pressure without risking all those additional chips. And that's also the other side of the ICM situation too, because his opponents are not incentivized to go bust. They're very much not incentivized to do so. So just because you can doesn't mean you should, which is why you can get very confused if you're using some of these push fold tools, James, because when the output of the computer says you absolutely can shove this profitably, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most profitable thing to do, right? They're just solving for the simplest push fold, scenario.
To quote
So,
Alan Partridge, computers can be wrong.
All right, sure enough. King 10 off again.
2001 A Space Oddity, we'll remember, when Hal would not open the door. I mean, Nutshell is now closing in on the 70 million mark. Second biggest stack is Bigger Than Sagaz, who's got less than 18 mil.
Queen 10 seems like a good opportunity. 6-7 suited, such a nice little hand. Could do all kinds of things there. I think flatting probably wouldn't be completely out of the question, but I think we want to avoid more of those situations until you've lost some more players for sure. A 3-bet is also kind of an interesting opportunity too there for sure. I mean, I think a small 3-bet puts Ketzer in a very awkward position.
Just very quickly, Nick, we've got some people watching the stream this evening who've been away a while and maybe weren't watching some of our streams during 2020 and 2021. I will forgive them. But Dana Craven, for example, does not understand the artisanal sourdough reference. So ace-5, we saw a lot of players making moves with ace-5. And Nick, Sam, Griffin, our analysts informing us that ace-5 is a hand that's currently on trend. It's very trendy to play ace-5 now. And like sourdough bread, when everyone was making sourdough, or it's the bread that everyone wanted to eat, it was the kind of thing of the moment. And ace-5 suited, because it has more value than ace-5 offsuit, became artisanal sourdough because it's a better quality of sourdough. That's the genesis of the nickname.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, we were doing a lot of tournament series, right, Joe? Oh, that's a nice turn for 8-6.
It's the second time we've done it this evening, Nick, and I'm not going to let you get away with it anymore. I am not Joe. I never have been, and I never will be.
Am I calling you Joe?
You've done it twice now. And quite frankly, next time,
Banhammer.
That's coming out.
I mean, oh, man, I've been working with you guys for so long now as well. Sorry.
You can't tell us apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna self-ban myself for a little bit, guys. I'm just gonna leave. I do apologize, James.
That's all right. My favorite is when a very well-known poker player always referred to us as Joe and Stapes, and it's like, no.
Oh no.
No, Doc.
Nah, dog, nah. No, I've spent a lot of time in the sun over the last couple days, so you do have to do forgive me, guys. As an online poker player, you know, I spend a lot of time in front of the computer, shielded from the UV rays, and unlike Superman, I am not empowered by it. It's I get fried, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, it's a terrible mistake.
More importantly, Nick, Nutshell has now moved over the 70 million mark. This chip lead is looking like, well, a guaranteed top 3 finish. A very strong chance for the win. Meanwhile, Beto has the Snowmen's.
Nom nom. Nom nom.
I'm not explaining that one. If you don't know, you should. Queens for Corn. Plants versus Zombies has King Corn. We've got Queen Corn.
Queen Jack suited is such a pretty hand. It really is one that flops well, plays well post-flop. You do get to realize the equity of your hand a little bit more often with these beautiful little suited combinations, but just too much strength in the big blind and not messing around. Final table strategy, Queens all in pre. Let's go.
And Radek still the short stack at the final table with just shy of 6 million. That said, considerably more than 10 big blinds. Has time, can be patient.
I was about to say I really like this fold by A6 here. I really like this fold. I just like why you want to mess around with the big boy. Come on, just like A6. It's not even. I know it's an ace on the button, sacrilegious to some. You can't be folding aces on the button, Nick. Sure, but you can. You actually can. Like just put yourself in a situation where you're trying to imagine not what you should do in a vacuum, but what you should do in order to win the maximum amount. Radek Parek there in a severe danger zone situation compared to some of his associates at the table here. Just miss it. Just miss it. A6 is not. It doesn't play well. It's not a great hand to take post flop. So allow it. Uh-oh.
Big it in Sagaz with queens this time.
Yeah, Ketzer, we are a little bit more short-handed. I don't know if he can fold King-Jack here. It is a hand with plenty of playability. If we were still 8-handed or 9-handed, I think you can probably just about avoid this one altogether. But as the shorter-handed table, seems pretty reasonable. And Bigot and Sagaz, I think he's probably going to want to raise these up. Doesn't want to let other players come in behind him and mess up his pot when he's just going to have the best hand an overwhelming amount of the time. Tons and tons of dead money. I think a 3-bet non-all-in is really cool. And look at the size as well. Doesn't even give him the full 3x. Just no respect.
So this is Brazil versus Brazil, potentially versus Brazil if Beto BR gets involved. Thinking about doing something funky with the ace-3, but finally it folds it.
Yeah,
so action
we were
back
talking about the...
on Ketzer Felipe, a player whose real name is Felipe Ketzer. The clues were there. $1.1 million in PokerStars earnings. And has a second place finish in a Sunday Million back in 2020.
Going back to what we were saying about the artisanal sourdough, part of the reason why it came up so much, guys, to you guys asking in the chat about it, was that we saw a lot of super high stakes regs, like cold 4-betting, cold 5-betting, ace-5 suited all in as part of their their strategy, and it just was never right. It was always running into a monster.
All in the call, king 6
in.
against 9s, and a king and a 6 and another 6. That's a full house. That is a double up for Radek Parek, and that puts Ketzer Felipe in the danger zone with shy of 3 million now.
Danger zone. Oh, Ketzer, that's not ideal, mate. That was such a good spot for him to knock out a player, stay in the tournament, but sickness at the final table of this Sunday Million.
You know what was also a good spot? Having trip aces.
Oh, James, mate, the delay's caught up. He's crying about it already. You're going to twist the knife like that. Unbelievable.
He's not listening to what we're saying. If I was playing in a $530 buy-in event with huge sums of money on the line, I wouldn't have those clowns switched on. I'd be watching the stream for card information, but those guys would be muted. Muted, I'll tell you.
I mean, if I knew I was going to get needled like that, I'd probably mute as well. Big flop here for King 4 of Hearts.
Absolutely. Nutshell not drawing dead, though, and bets half pot here. But this is a lock for Sagaz. Although, I say that, there's every possibility that Nutshell might push Sagaz off this.
He's done it before, James. He certainly knows how to wield that stack, and it's really, really brilliant to see. But he's got too much showdown, really. Ace-Jack is huge on that river, so, yeah.
And now kings for Radek Parek.
Can you say comeback? Doesn't look like he's going to get too much action here, to be fair, but certainly in a much better position than he was before, and looking like he might actually be able to ladder some more. But Jack 6 off, big blind. Doesn't feel great.
Oak Val asks on YouTube, how do I join this? Well, you needed to be here 48 hours ago because this started on Sunday. It's now at the final 7 players from a starting field of 2,912. It would be slightly unfair on those 7 players if we allowed someone to buy in now. I'm sure you could calculate it. For an average stack, what would the buy-in be at this point in terms of real equity? I don't expect you to come up with the answer at the top of your head, but someone can work it out, but the reality is not allowed.
Yeah. But that is a good point, James. Yeah, just infinite value to buy in at this point. You could buy in for, you can buy now for 210K or something like that. I'm just imagining this as a live tournament going up to the final table of the World Series. Like, all right, guys, I got like 2 mil. Will you let me join for 2 mil? Just give me starting stack, see what happens. Less than 1 big blind.
I mean, not being funny, I'm sure if someone showed up right now and was willing to contribute another $530 to the prize pool for, what was the starting stack? 50,000 chips, which is the ante. I'm sure they'd take your money. I'm thinking that you would have to allow someone to come in for average chips for
average, of course.
The equivalent of like whatever the kind of median of the remaining prize money is.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the most logical, really legit situation that might actually happen.
But I do not endorse that as a concept.
Yeah, that would be a really weird one.
Ace King in the small blind for Korn. Just limps.
Ooh.
Nutshell with King 8 suited. No, decides to check their option. Wise.
Very wise.
Well, has a straight draw. An 8 would also work.
Yeah, I think betting turn here is cool. Checks and step. Nutshell does have showdown with king high, so it's probably just going to check in that case. Yep, river, sure enough.
So in case you're interested, the average stack right now is 20.8 million, but clearly the distribution is a little bit off, and only 2 players have above average stacks. There's Bigoted Sagaz, who's just around average, and then there's Nutshell, who's got close to 70 mil.
Does Korn call here? Makes the fold, actually gets the fold from the 6s.
And blinds will be going up shortly, at which point Ketzer Felipe will be back to playing fewer than 10 big blinds. Next hand will be 250,000, 500,000. Okay, so Sid Hoffman said, I crunched some numbers. 2 million chips would cost 21K. Okay. I can think of better ways of investing 21K. That can't be right. That can't be right. You can't buy in for 21K when you're guaranteed at least 28. Now, Sid, back to the drawing board, buddy. Sid's re-crunching.
It doesn't sound right to me. I'm not good at that kind of stuff, but that doesn't work for me.
The buy-in has to be for an average stack of 21 million chips, and it has to be for significantly more than the current minimum payout. Ace Jack against Ace Queen, domination rotation. Beto does have a gut shot though, and may think that diamonds are good. Spoiler alert, they're not. Oh, good point
John
from
Delano,
StatTrick.
how's it going?
8th place payout would come back in play. Do you know what? It's too complicated. Let's just say it's not allowed. It was a lot easier when we just stuck to that.
Yeah, there's other considerations anyway, like, how often are you actually going to be in this situation? There's probably got to be some sort of a premium slapped on the fact that there was 2,912 runners in this tournament as well, you know what I mean? Ace Jack going for some Val.
Chris Ellis says 21 million chips would be like $220,000. Well, then you can't make your money back. But then you have to revise the payouts. Oh, right, I'm done with this. I'm absolutely done with this. I'm going back to pressing buttons.
Num 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 num.
Num in the big blind here. Bigger than Sagaz here. Definitely has an opportunity to steal. I think I really like a steal with Jack 8 here, actually. And I think that the big blind's going to have to be super, super honest in this position with their chip stack at this stage. So I like the raise here. I think that this size is really cool, too.
Hold on.
Maybe.
Hold on.
What is it?
All those people with their buy-ins and their chips, and somehow Joshy Boy seems to come up with an even dumber comment. Joshy Boy?
Whoa, is that really the comment? Oh, geez. Here we go. Thanks for coming, buddy. All right, so nutshell with that wider range that we spoke about. Queen 3 suited.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, I love this. Love this play. Just if it looks pretty, just go ahead and open it. If it looks like something that might maybe do something once in a blue moon, just go for it. And Ketzer actually picking up on that wide range and actually getting in the ace 3 off here. Very, very cool. Very cool adjustment against the big stack there. And that's a big pickup for him. I know it's only 6 million now, but a lot of players would have missed that spot altogether. As the shortest stack, I think that's very clever by him. Very cool.
King 4 versus King Deuce.
Oh, geez. Business Pirate is asking, okay, guys, we just got beat. Anybody got any poker tournament structured ideas that are even dumber? How about a tournament where everybody buys in like a normal tournament and the payouts are who can bust fastest?
I guarantee you, whatever you're going to say, Joe's already thought of it because he is the absolute expert at coming up with ridiculous tournament ideas. And don't worry, he will be back soon after he's had another hot dog.
2 pair for King 4 here. Beto on the turn. I think it's time to go for some value, buddy. Go big. Really, really punish at this point. Go hard on the turn. That's a good size. 1.8 into 2.4 feels great. It's like Royal Rumble backwards. Yeah, just first person to bust gets all the money. Everyone's just in it to lose it. What's up, Leonard? What's up? Welcome back, buddy. Oh, man. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the king is going to be winning here a lot. Plus, he has the gut shot. Makes a really cool fold, but, you know, is going to have the best hand there a lot of the time.
So round to Beto with Queen 7 offsuit. And now blind v blind. Corn versus Nutshell.
Decides to
go
limp.
to the flop. We are, and King High is still ahead on a 6-5-4 board. King High still good.
Man, Nutshell really, really flexing today. I feel like playing really, really solid poker, really, really masterfully navigating these more awkward situations. If you're floating with King 9 on the flop, you can bluff turn, but also he's probably floating because he knows he's going to have the best hand quite a lot anyway. And, of course, the 4 is usually a good turn for him to get to showdown and still have the best hand because it doesn't really change the texture of the board too much. Decides to double or almost double over pot the turn, which is really, really cool. I wonder specifically what he's kind of targeting here. Maybe some gut shots and overcards and stuff like that, but effectively gets the fold regardless.
Ooh. Kings, 4s, ace, queen, 9s. Someone's going to get hurt. Ketzer who is the table short stack, opens to $1 million. Beto BR, ace queen. And if Beto re-raises here, Nick, that might save Korn.
Yeah, I think Korn has been pretty cautious in these situations thus far, as I'm probably sure he should. But here we go, 2.6 in the middle, not that much behind for Ketzer. I think you're just getting it in, my friend. This isn't a spot where he's going to have any bluffs, really, right, James? Beto's not going to do this against the short stack here, thinking he's going to get folds from this position with so many players back behind.
And this is a great spot for Ketzer to double up, has to fade Barry Greenstein, and does. Now has 13.5 million. It's Beto BR, another of the Brazilians at this final table, who drops down to 4 million. Now Beto is the short stack. Beto with fewer than 10 bigs.
Yeah, Ketzer swings all the way back, pretty much returned from his little swing, his little time at the bottom there. He's been playing pretty well too, so love to see it. And now Beto has a hand and a decision here, but obviously Bonbay is here from under the gun. Probably going to want to do something with the num-nums. Decides to limp instead. Interesting.
The Gibbons, the under the gun limp. Interestingly, Beto folded the ace-10. Scared by the limp from Bombay's?
I'm sure it is quite scary, and I sympathize with this for sure. He is very, very shallow, and that limp is pretty terrifying. I wonder if I might have found myself folding that hand as well, and I wonder if he had opened, if he would have done the same too. Probably, I imagine, but really, really tricky one. Interesting final table situation there.
I mean, the chip distribution is just nutshell in such a powerful position, and with kind of like get bigot in Sagaz down to around 15, 12 million, that's when you can really start having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ketzer opening with ace deuce. Bombay's defending the big blind with the spraggy. Ace 7 offsuit, pairing their 7. Andy Max 81, will they play down to a winner today? I hope so. Only 7 left. It'd be a bit weird to park it some point later this evening. This is the final day. And yes, we are going to have another Scoop champion crowned tonight.
This is a good turn for Ketzer to barrel again.
But while we're watching this final table play out, one of the events that's starting this evening is the $25,000 buy-in Super High Roller, the biggest buy-in event of the series. And that will play down to an FT today. We will stream the final day of the Super High Roller tomorrow.
This is so cool from Ketzer. I really, really approve of the second barrel here, especially not blocking diamonds. And it's a size where you can get diamonds to full turn for sure. It's an overcard to the 7 and the 4, and obviously not the diamond or the straight card. So 2 barrels there, going to knock down Bonabase here to under 10 million. Ketzer, let's go, buddy. Ace Queen, picking up pots now, getting a little bit of momentum.
We've got 9s on the button for Bonbase. A player who we established is Canadian, has 120K in PokerStars earnings. This tonight, wherever they finish, will be their best ever cash.
Yeah, I think this is a push all day long, James. 9s, I don't know about the flat here. Not sure about this flat, really. I don't... Nines is a pair that does have plenty of playability, but you just don't want to get outplayed in a spot where you're just going to be so huge. And I don't think this is a player that has too much ICM pressure on them, really, at this stage. Obviously, Beto is extremely short, which is a huge ICM consideration, but I am concerned about how this plays out now. Oh, man, very incentivized to go for 2 barrels now. Obviously, the button will have plenty of Queen X, though, when they flat, so tricky, but there is a second barrel from Bigot and Sagaz.
Nines still good by the river.
Is he going to do it?
I mean, Bombase has significantly less than pot behind.
Yep. Just do it. Prove me right. check on the river, probably. I don't know. Maybe it'd be amazing if you went for value here. Yeah, nice pot there. Nines do get to showdown, sure enough.
King Jack folds. Well, there's another King Jack in the small blind, Corn 2005. Assuming that Beto's going to fold the button. Corn completes. And Nutshell checks. 2 pair, top 2 for Corn. Bottom pair for Nutshell, 500,000. Called.
Yeah, can't be folding bottom pair here against the bet. Ooh, little sneaky trap check turn with the King Jack, though. If you're going to trap check turn, I think I like a really big bet on the river just to really punish the Jack X, 4X hero calls. Alternatively, you could go small and try and incentivize, Queen 10 or some kind of a straight draw to try and raise you instead. I think that's kind of cool. So it looks like he's going for something like that instead.
Quinn Irk says, wait, can't the players just watch the stream and cheat? We talked to them all beforehand and they promised not to. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, very trustworthy poker players. Very trustworthy.
Four, 3 of hearts. Nutshell continuing to hold on to that huge stack, close to 70 million again.
Cheating is ungentlemanly. Gentleman's agreement. Absolutely, guys. Beto. He's only got 3 million and he's got the action here. Makes the fold. All right, now we're getting into it, James. 5-4 suited on the button. Let's go ahead and raise it up. This is beauteous. Absolutely beauteous. Ketzer not messing around, though.
Okay.
Straight 15 mil. Let's go, buddy. All right.
Okay, well, pocket jacks about to run into ace queen here. Corn 2005. Opens to $1 million. Nutshell with 5s. Well, I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was going to be the jacks and the ace queen, but it's Nutshell who 3 bets with 5s. And Corn, conscious of the fact that Beto has less than 3 million, but Jack's just too strong to get away from here, Nick?
Oh, this is so hard. Look at how short Beto is at this point, right? He is so short. Do you want to have any guesswork at all when you're basically guaranteed at least another ladder? There it is.
All
strong
in.
and strong. Puts it in.
And
a
called! Wow. Domination situation in Corn's favor. That is a huge double up. That changes the dynamic at the final table. I mean, when jacks do decide to shove there, Nick, how do you call with fives in that spot? Is that a case of positive tilt, overconfidence setting in maybe?
It's a good question, James. Honestly, it's such a weird one. Like I think the 3-bet it is really interesting there. I think that's probably okay. Once he ships, though, you will have the best hand a lot of the time. I just don't know if the ship is going to be as weak as you want it, right? Like when we're playing games where players are playing purely for chips, they're going to have lots of small pocket pairs there some of the time, which means you're going to be dominating a huge portion of the range that might shove in that scenario. But in this case, they're just not going to have those smaller pairs at all, right? So you're going to be quote unquote flipping at best. I don't like that term at all. I feel like it's an excuse for a lot of players to play poorly, but that is a huge call with fives. I just don't think Korn is ever going to be messing around in this position, you know, given the table dynamic, given the ICM pressure. And here he is again, ace-8 flopping the trippies.
Yeah, ace-8 opened. Nutshell decided to call with jack-9 suited, and it is trip 8s and near enough 95% equity for Korn, who bets 1.25, and Nutshell just needs to regroup. No, do not raise the flop.
Oh,
Nutshell.
my days.
Stop.
Slow it down, buddy. You were doing so well. Oh, no, and additional incentive for him to bluff now.
Nutshell has just picked up an open-ended straight draw, but only 18%. And shoves the turn! Well, this is getting called. And Korn just has to fade that straight on the river. Does fade it. And everything has changed in the space of 3 or 4 hands. And it was the 2 big hands for Korn that have seen Korn take the dominant chip lead. Nutshell drop down to 16 million. What just happened? The name is Nutshell, not Nutter.
I mean, what do I say? That was Korn sitting at the table going, how am I going to win this tournament? And sure enough, just boom, bang, there you go. Easy game. Thank you very much. Damn.
I mean, we were just questioning the call with fives, especially when you consider that Beto is sitting there with 2 million going, keep it going, guys, keep it going. But that shove on the turn with the straight draw. Okay. It happened.
I mean, yeah, you can appreciate how strong that is, and obviously Korn just having a very specifically also strong hand, right? But I mean, very bold from Nutshell at the very least. But wow, just high risk, very high risk strategy there, and obviously Korn on the right side of it. Can you imagine if he rivered a straight, James? Can you imagine the absolute heartbreak with one to come, final table Sunday million?
Yeah, and look, to be fair to Nutshell, they did successfully push someone off trips not that long ago, and that hand will now have been seen by all the players at the final table. But I think to think that Korn had nothing there is not really reading the signs of the betting action through the streets.
Sure. And I mean, I think he can get a ton to fold here, right? So just because he ran into exactly ace-8, obviously, there's still tons of other situations where he's going to get much, well, he's going to get aces and kings to fold sometimes and all that kind of stuff too, I imagine. I don't know. You can't always be guaranteed, but it was very strong for his tournament life. But yeah, you're right, James. Crazy spot there. Korn now the absolute omega chip leader. Complete swing.
Amazing how quickly things have changed, and now it's Korn who's up around 65, closing in on 70 million, and is in control of this 7-handed final table. Artisanal sourdough.
Ooh, sourdough suited. Artisanal.
Sourdough suited.
Oh, if you wanted entertainment, ladies and gentlemen, you've come for the right place.
Whew, spicy.
Sagaz opens. Everyone bar the big blind is folded.
Yeah, look at Beto there as well, James. Can you imagine? Oh, so close to another ladder.
Yeah. 7th place paying nearly $28,000, but 6th place paying nearly 40 grand. And Beto just hoping that Nutshell continues to blast off.
Yeah, I mean, that really would be the dream if Nutshell could absolutely blast off and Beto could find another ladder here. With this stack, he's only got about 3 bigs left, James. It's, you know, it's a spot.
Yeah,
It's a vibe.
around. The blinds are a-coming. Okay, well, Korn makes it $1 million. Nutshell calls with the better hand, to be fair. Ace-Jack involved as well. 3-way to the flop, and it is an ace-high flop. Open-ended straight draw for Nutshell, and we know Nutshell likes those straight draws.
Yeah, I mean, and we've just seen a complete reversal right now. Korn opening 6 deuce of spades here is just getting so out of line, like absurdly out of line here, and I love it. I'm here for it, and I think that's how you should be playing these stacks. You wouldn't catch me with this particular combo, but literally I don't see any real downside to it. You know, you're just going to be able to do so well playing at extremely wide range here. And that's a straight for Nutshell.
Feels like a decisive hand for Nutshell. I kind of feel that they need a small win right now. They need to kind of regroup and need that affirmation of taking this part and being able to remain in contention and not just go to pieces. And I speak from experience as someone who goes to pieces when I lose a big pot and then just dust off my chips in the next couple of orbits.
Yeah. Wow, gets the ace to fold.
Will probably work.
Yeah, big pickup here for Nutshell.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes, AG, I love that translation. To put it in American football parlance, just need a couple of quick completions to get their confidence back after throwing the pick. King Queen opens. Got 9s for Radek Parek, who flats.
Yeah, the flat from the 9s in this position is in my opinion much cooler than the one we saw previously from Bombay's here, where he got to showdown, especially with that big blind being so shallow.
Beto all in with an ace. Ace-8 from the big blind. How does Nutshell respond to this? Re-raises to isolate. Radek Parek with 9s.
We'll have the best hand here a lot of the time, James. Like a lot of the time.
And he's giving this serious thought. A Nutshell might be thinking, uh-oh, what have I done?
I mean, Nutshell could still be doing this with 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, you know, that kind of thing. And then obviously all the overcards that he still has a slight advantage against. But like I said, a lot of those smaller pairs that you do have mountains of equity against makes the call.
3-way all in, and wow.
Wow.
Full house for Nutshell. That is a double KO. So obviously chip stacks at the start of that hand matter. Beto BR, 7th place finisher for $27,755. Radek Parek, 6th place finisher for nearly 40K. And Nutshell back in the game, back up to around 35 million. That should steady the ship now, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, what a roller coaster. And now back into second chips, I think he's going to probably feel a lot more confident about his position, having gone from absolute chip leader, swinging all the way down and coming back up. Got a question in the chat here from Cuttlefish saying, is folding Queen Jack off in the big blind at 2.1 big blinds correct? Yes, ICMI, no. For the most part, the answer is almost never, yes, you should fold that, because you're just way too shallow. If you're in a tournament situation with the additional dead money of the big blind ante as well, you're basically always getting the most ludicrous price, especially to hold a hand that will have so much equity. So generally speaking, no, but of course it always depends on the situation.
Andy Max, if they're eliminated in the same hand, how is determined who is in which place? As I referenced, Andy, chip stacks, who had the most chips? And because Beto was the shorter of the two stacks, Beto goes out in 7th, Radek Parek goes out in 6th.
Yeah, next payout, guys. 54,621. Very, very juicy at this stage for the old $500 buy-in.
And that will take us to the second break of the day. What a session. So we played the better part of an hour without any eliminations, and then we saw 2 of them in the same hand. But before that, we had what looked like the implosion of Nutshell. Has recovered slightly, back up to around 36 million, but it is Korn 2005 who goes into this break as chip leader with a dominant stack of 63.5 million. It was Beto BR and Radek Parek who we lost during that session. So 2 Brazilians remaining. Joe Stapleton back with us on stream. And Joe, I don't know whether you saw those hands, but we saw the rise of Nutshell. We saw the dramatic fall of Nutshell. Now maybe the recovery of Nutshell, but our hearts are racing right now.
I mean, I think one thing that that's always been proven is that there is no predicting anything that can happen in any of these events. Nutshell still has plenty of chips to do plenty of damage, can still knock out free players without even adding to their chip stack. As we know, it takes 1 or 2 hands to completely turn things around at any point for any player.
True. Nick, obviously great to have you with us this evening, analysing the action at this Sunday Million final table. We know that Sam is playing his fair share of scoops. I know that obviously you're also streaming during the week, but are you playing any of the scoops, or are you sticking to your spins?
I am, and I'm happy to report that I'm doing relatively well, in terms of dollars won and lost, but only because I'm pretty much winning all of my MTT buy-ins back at spins before I dump them back into the MTT pool. So we're doing okay overall. I would like to try and take down some scoops this time, so I have been putting in the time, trying to obviously get that around the days when I have day 2s with you guys doing commentary and all that kind of jazz. But I'm thinking, particularly after today, I'm going to try and play a bunch of the later events, and I'm particularly looking out for the heads-up event that's coming up towards the end of this month. It might be one of the final events. Those heads-up events obviously are more tailored to my sort of thing because I play tons of heads-up in the games that I'm really good at. So that's the one I'm really looking forward to, but yeah, still getting in the mix as much as I can here and there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you've got to put your streaming commitments first, and we appreciate that. But have you ever played a major series like this from start to finish, like Spraggy, Lex, and Finton do, where you're literally grinding everything? Because I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they have the stamina.
No, I actually completely agree. Anybody that knows me from all the years, being with Stars and, being an ambassador and kind of explaining my story on stream, I always rebelled against that kind of lunacy. Like, honestly, like the actual stamina and the amount of commitment and the amount of like physical drain required to try and put in, so many hours on the MTT fields. That was kind of why I picked the games I picked. I always played cash games and sit and goes because I liked the lifestyle that it afforded me. I kind of just loaded up, put in my time, won my money, checked out, happy days, like went for a beer. Meanwhile, these guys are like locked in and they're putting in these massive epic sessions. So I've always rebelled against it, but obviously as an ambassador now, I'd like to show more face, and I'd like to try and get some MTTs under my belt, even though previously all of my money was always just from that regular standard day-to-day grind,
Yeah. So Joe, obviously we're following the medium buy-in version of event 35. The high was the Titans, which concluded last night, but the low is still running, which is the mini Sunday Million. It's a $55 buy-in, which had close to 16,000 entries. They are down to the final 4, and obviously we're monitoring this on a delay, just as we do with the medium version as well. Taxation is Theft is the current chip leader with 4 players remaining, and I believe that this was one of the Dare to Stream winners. So the first time that Dare to Stream ran back in 2019, Taxation is Theft was the first winner alongside Richie Robb. So great to see this player doing well in the mini version of the Sunday Million this week.
I sure hope they're playing from a country like the UK where the winnings aren't going to be heavily taxed, or else that's going to be quite the irony.
Austria. So I think
there
they're
you
going to
go.
be okay. First prize in that one, of 88.5 grand. Not bad for a $55 buy-in. Of course, the medium version, the special edition of the Sunday Million we're following this evening, had a $530 buy-in, and that has a first prize of more than 210 grand. A reminder that we are going to play down to a winner tonight. We're going to get back to the five-handed final table right now, and I'm going to leave you in the more than capable hands of Nicholas Walsh and Joseph Stapleton.
All right, my babies, welcome back. James Hardigan taking off. He is shaken and stirred. 5 players remaining in the Sunday Million Special Edition. Nearly 3,000 total entries. Pocket Kings for Nutshell. And a lot of incredibly playable hands dealt out here. We lost the threes. We lost the Queen 10 suited. After the raise and the re-raise, Queen Jack suited out of the way. Man, if the positions had been different here, we probably would have seen a lot more pre-flop action. But given that it went UTG 3-bet, UTG +1, things did not get to a flop. I see Korn is still alive and the chip leader, which means I'm going to be a lot more walk like a freak on a leash.
Like a freak on a leash. Very good. All right, guys. Blind v blind. Korn now, obviously, that commanding chip lead and the pocket eights.
Ooh,
Not the best flop for eights, but of course not the worst flop either. Should have the best hand on this texture a lot of the time with the eights here. Probably could even bet the turn if I was Korn. Wouldn't mind that. Just like ridiculously small, just some amount so it's not completely free to see a river. There you go. Taking it down.
Takes down another. I mean, if you can't win pocket eights against 8-4, what are you doing?
I mean, you probably wouldn't be on the final table of this Sunday Million if that wasn't the case. So,
Right.
Right.
Joe, there is no under the gun in five-handed poker. Guess what, David Garcia? There's no David Garcia in YouTube chat. You banned. Thank you for your comment.
Oh my gosh. You can still be under the gun five-handed, guys. Come on. Come on.
Now, if you want to make the argument that you're under the gun and in the hijack or whatever it is, or the cutoff, fine. But
sure.
You're still under the gun. You're still first to act. Excuse me, there's no first person to act when you're playing five-handed. Thank you. No one goes first.
There's not really like an early position, but you are still earliest in the position, right? Come on, guys. Come on. Top pair for Ketzer. The good old Felipe, the man himself, putting in a small bet here.
And not much hope here for Bon Base, unless you want to put in a Bon Bluff, but nope.
And the blinds are up. Oh, man. 2 players now under, or just about under 20 big blinds effective here. So we're really getting into it now.
Not quite the danger zone.
Not quite.
But nearing it.
Nearing.
Ooh, 8-4 working for Nutshell this time. Jack 10 for Bigadine Cigars.
Bigadine. Okay, blind v blind again. Corner the king, queen off. Nutshell doesn't have a whole lot going on here. But, you know, still an opportunity to try and do something clever.
What do you think of a limp there with king queen? Is that specifically to try to a little bit of a pre-flop trap?
It could be. I mean, I think it also might have something to do with the fact these are the 2 big stacks. And, I mean, Korn has just witnessed Nutshell go off the absolute deep end at him, right? So it's not like he's not like he's somebody that's kind of going to be more passive given the sort of the stack situation. I mean, perhaps that's not so much true now that he's covered and he isn't now the covering stack, but he knows that Nutshell's a guy that's not afraid to go a little bit hard, and so obviously a little bit of a trap to get some more action off someone he perceives to be an action player, but then also maybe to try and control the size of the pot so he's not the one on the hook for another tournament life with 5 left.
No action for Kester Felipe. And fold around to the blinds. Oh, I keep saying Kester, but it's Ketzer. I'm sorry.
Ketzer.
Ketzer Felipe.
Yeah. And Ketzer
When you
raises
said
it up,
Ketzer
taking it
Felipe
down.
earlier, I thought you were speaking in Pig Latin. Felipe
Well,
Etzer K.
his real name is actually Felipe Ketzer as well, so that's
Okay.
the just the swappy. Ooh, ace-5 in the big here. Definitely going to want to do something. I think as a shorty, though, the flat is probably preferable. A whole lot of nutting, though, for bone base. I like a really small c-bet here from Nutshell, like with the gut shot you're going to put in. You're going to get away with so much here. Not even 1/3 necessarily when they're that short, but any bet's going to work there against ace-5, really.
Bigadine on the button, Queen 5 suited. And that's going to be a walk. Another walk for the freak on a leash. I got to learn some more corn songs. What's the other one?
Wow. I'm drawing a blank here, Joe.
Adidas? Was that a corn song?
Not sure. Come on, Chad, help us out here. No, I'm drawing a blank. That's always my fave.
Hold on, ace high is not a straight yet here, but it's still the best hand.
Falling away from me. Yeah, thank you, Tom. True Evil confirms Adidas, yeah, or Adidas. Which is the American pronunciation again, Joe? Is it Adidas?
Adidas. Adidas.
Adidas is the American version, okay. Oh, little trickery there with 3/4 of hearts.
Nutshell. Bluffing with nothing. No, that didn't work. I really did mess my voice up doing that stupid corn voice.
Yeah, like I said, not a guy who's concerned. He's not concerned about playing some pots. He's okay with that. He likes to be aggressive, and it's working out for him. So he's just going to keep going with it.
Well, Nutshell's been outflopped. Domination rotation. Pair of 6 is good for Ketzer.
Twisted Transistor is a really famous one. Thank you, buddy. That was the one I was trying to reach for. Oh, man. Ketzer should be pretty sticky here, but look at the size. Such a punishing size here.
Why so serious? Remember you could pick out people bluffing in spots like this when they would overbet? You'd be like, they never have it. That doesn't really work anymore. It would have in this case, but...
No, people are a lot more balanced now. Here we go. Ace-King on the button. I wonder if Bigadine here is going to try and do something tricky. I think
a bing-a-ding-ding, a bing-a-ding-ding. Nutshell still with the best of it despite missing this flop. Now really with the best of it. Hello, Nicholas. Not just Nicholas Walsh, but Nicholas H. I love you as well. Thanks for tuning in.
What's up, dude?
Okay, Queen 9. Time to go bye-bye. Time to put it in the bigger bin.
Oh, man.
All right, we could see some fireworks here.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see Korn ever folding this. I think this is way too good of a spot. Bigot in here can be shoving all kinds of smaller pocket pairs. And as we've discussed a lot, guys, the more smaller pocket pairs your opponents can have when you have a hand like 9s or 7s or 8s or whatever, the better it becomes for you because you have so much equity against the smaller pairs. And this could literally be like, I don't know what the exact cutoff is, but it could be like 4s plus or something like that. Maybe even as low as 3s here, given his stack size. He makes the call.
Bigot in, gets it in. 9's holding, and 9's hold. Bigoting Sagaz out in 5th place. Nearly $55,000, and we are down to 4. Everyone now guaranteed $78K.
That's a ladder right there.
Pretty cool.
That is a pretty cool ladder. Yeah.
And Korn extends their chip lead. 72 million. 43 for Nuthshell.
The H is silent. It's just nutshell.
Nutshell, okay.
No, I honestly don't know. Okay, a little blind v blind action. Nutshell here, obviously connecting with middle pair with a really decent kicker. There are lots of situations here where you want to slow down with second pair. I think usually what happens is they expect you to be more aggressive when you've got a better kicker like these here.
Just snapped off that. My
yeah, I
goodness.
really like the call here. I don't really know if this is a flop where Ketzer is going to have a ton of raises with a king. And
Oh,
what a
man.
run out now as well. Oh, man. Given the raise and the flop and the check on the turn, though, could he give him some rope here? Instead, just goes for literally all of it.
Oh,
Oh, what's that?
Want to make, if only we knew what that last word was. Well, we'll never know.
Do you want to make a sandwich, guys?
Do you want to make it a date like a year from now to get together and relive this experience?
Do you guys want to make a Facebook group that we can all be a part of?
Do you want to make plans to have brunch next Sunday?
I would brunch with my fellow Sunday Million final tablers. Joe, what do you think?
I would.
I feel like you got a lot. You
Especially,
definitely share. You share something that many people won't. Other people won't have the opportunity to experience, right?
I mean, the real prize is the friends you made along the way. Queen 9 against 10-7. 8-8 deuce on the flop. Couple of snowmen's out there.
Nom nom. Nom nom.
Nom. Doesn't sound like anyone's interested, though, and obviously Bonbase has the shortest stack as well. It doesn't command too much power in those kinds of negotiations.
Oh, bone base. You're really, really sweating it. Yeah. Showing some emotion. At least you didn't have to see whether or not the spade was coming. All right, bone base, here you go, and you're in a good spot to double it up here.
Yeah, this is pretty much the dream setup as the short stack.
Oh, my
This is
goodness.
what you get for
Korn's
asking
gonna
for a deal
open.
and get denying. Yeah.
Korn's going to open. Ketzer definitely going to put money in this pot.
I think he might just flat here instead. Yeah, that seems like the better play
Yep.
with the shorty, but obviously ace-king now with a really good opportunity to squeeze it in.
Ace king, all in.
And a call.
Ketzer may feel compelled, to call it off. For
Got a
this
call here for sure.
fewer than 10 big blind shove. Does indeed. It's domination situation. Ace of diamonds, 2 for bone base. And ace king holds. No longer the short stack. Philippe flops with bone base. It's just under 20 bigs. There you go, Hatuna Furtada. Booyah base. I like it.
Corn definitely could be aggressive here with King Jack suited. I wouldn't mind a 3-bet here, to be honest. The flat is obviously also cool, but you're probably going to want to play this hand pretty much every single time. Sure enough, goes for the flat instead. This is not a bad spot to squeeze. Sorry, Joe.
No, that's okay. I was just going to point out, I love the fact that you're dropping kernels of wisdom while Corn's playing. Accurately predicting the pop. Top pair for Bone. Good spot to be in. Gets 2 folds. Very happy to take it down on that flop.
Sign something up to take it on. Wish I could make that sound.
Yeah, that's the one.
Find some things they find. Find something I'm mending them all. Find.
Nutshell shoving on Felipe. Felipe folds. Corn with pocket sixes. Bone base with ace 5. Off-brand sourdough. Corn gets his chips in the pot in a jiffy. I like it, JD.
A little bit of corn ASMR, guys. Sorry, guys.
All day I dream about sets. Also funny from woodworking. 3-bet from Ketzer.
Just shove Corn. Just put it in, buddy. Sixes are so strong here. No, don't let it go.
Gets away with it.
Yeah, it's going to work. It's going to work some of the time.
Mads Fulgas asks, do we know anything about the last 4 players, prior winnings, total earnings, or whatnot? Absolutely. Thank you for your question.
It's pretty fast and furious again, Joe. These guys are getting through the hands now. Ketzer with the 9s, though. Oh, man. 9-10 suited so pretty, but probably not going to want to come along in this particular situation. And gonna get it through, picking up some chips, up to 15 mil.
Back out of the basement.
Okay. Here we go. 7s. Nutshell with an opportunity to 3-bet steal, though. Yeah, King Deuce of Spades looks real pretty as a 3-bet in this situation. I approve. We saw him fold 6s just now. Will he avoid this spot against another big stack? They are deep enough for him to maybe even just straight set mine if he wants to. Yeah, makes the call. No 7, though.
No 7,
okay.
But a board you wouldn't expect to hit too much 3-bets, too many 3-bets, unless, you know, you're up against jacks, queens, kings.
I was going to say 1/3 pot here is probably cool to try and get some of the smaller pairs to fold and some of the over cards to give up once in a while too. You don't want to go so small that like 2 overcards and a gut shot feels really comfortable, and you obviously don't want to allow him to come along with 7s, 6s, 5s, 4s, 3s, those kinds of things either. So that's a really, really nice sizing there. And Nutshell back up to 53 mil now. Not too much distance between him and Corn.
Fives now for Corn. And Bona gonna jam again. Corn maybe, yeah, a little less reluctant, more reluctant to get it in with 5s against that stack. And Bona base back out of the Bona basement. Flopping back and forth. Joe is so lost. Not as lost as your comments are about to be. Thank you for it, you banned.
Wow, that's a whole lot of nothing there. Look at that, guys. Jack 3, 7 deuce, tray deuce, 8, 4 off. No thank you. All right, ace 6 suited, very, very, very much improved here from the previous hand.
Would you say that ace 6 is a hand that's smooth as silk?
At least. Smoother than cashmere.
And another King Deuce 3-bet. What is going on? We're going to have to come up with a nickname for the King Deuce suited 3-bet.
Yeah.
And
It is a really pretty one.
3 to a straight, 1 diamond. Ketzer gets to continue.
This is a very different bet size than we saw previously in a 3-bet pot, though. But it is a very different board as well, so I appreciate the smaller sizing. Is he queuing himself up for a turn bet here, maybe like 4 mil, 5 mil? I don't know if this is the texture that you want to do it on. I don't know if this is the spot where you want to put into, but Ketzer definitely has the aggression to pull it off if he feels like this is a good turn to do it. I like the check personally. I just wonder if maybe if he was going to check turn here or a lot of turns, if maybe the larger size in the flop would have been better, but I think it's going to work enough of the time there for sure. If you're going small enough where ace-6 suited wants to come along because they have a backdoor and ace-high, then you're probably going to want to go a bit bigger, though, generally.
Ace-high is going to be good at showdown. Will Ketzer be able to deliver on a bluff?
Big Baby thinks we should call it Little Slick, and I'm actually I'm a fan of that. I like that.
Little slick.
Little Slick. That's cute.
I mean, a
like
deuce
that
is only
Yeah,
one
maybe.
card away from an ace.
Isn't K2 a Rogue One droid? It's got potential. K2SO.
It's a mountain too, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah. One of the deadly ones. He's like screwing up his mind, and he's going, can I do anything here? Like what am I representing by betting this river? And yeah, okay, just but now Korn has to decide whether or not he wants to try to get ace king, ace queen, ace jack, that kind of stuff to fold that might have 3-bet him here too.
I mean, sometimes you tank that long and don't bet, you can buy yourself a check back, right? Like, is that part of it?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
he
And
did,
sure enough,
just
ace-6
didn't have to
gets the
face a
showdown.
bet at least. Got the king high showdown value. Ace high good. Ketzer now below 20 bigs again.
Yeah, yep. I think that is a really cool one to go back and study because I think it really hinges on the flop c-bet size there. But Ketzer's 3-bet free, I really like too.
Oh, Ketzer waking up with a delightful hand when you're the shortest stack. Delightful hand anytime. Enfant terrible. I like your question. It might be a little too in-depth to answer during four-handed poker, but we'll try. I'll give one. Nick, maybe give the other two. What are the 3 biggest beginner mistakes you should avoid if you start in online poker? I would say playing too many hands.
Okay.
That would be my number 1 Family Feud answer.
I would say bankroll management is another huge one. You gotta just be aware that you don't want to be playing too big for your own personal, whatever you feel comfortable with, but also you don't want to be loading up your account constantly. Just pick an amount, put it in there, make it a decent amount in relation to the stakes you expect to play, and then treat it like a business and try and build it from there instead of guessing all the time and you're never sure how much you put in and took out, that kind of thing. Bankroll management is huge.
And number 3, not believing in yourself. I don't know.
Number 3, not watching enough of my stream. Watch more of my streams.
There you go.
Boom. Yeah, and these.
Things
of course,
get
too.
better for Nutshell on the turn. Top pair, top kicker, nut flush draw now.
Believe in the heart of the cards. That's a good one, Sid Hoffman. Yeah, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, that works too. Works for Yu-Gi-Oh and poker.
I think a pretty common mistake for beginners is thinking they're getting bluffed too often. People
I mean,
have
tight is
beginner
right.
stakes.
Tight is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, gets the snap
All
call,
right.
and that's going to be a change in the tournament chip lead.
Yeah.
Just like I said, Korn, not a believer. You're not getting bluffed nearly as often as you think you are. Korn paying off that river value bet, and Nutshell back on top, getting shoved on now. does have Ketzer dominated. Lets it go, though. And speaking of low stakes online poker, in the low event, play is now three-handed. Taxation is theft. Friend of the channel still has the big chip lead. First place is $88,000. And they did politely decline a deal.
That's awesome.
I like
That's so awesome.
a polite decline of a deal. Top pair here for
Sure.
Nutshell.
Boba Mango says, thinking you can summon a three blue eyes on one board is also beginner mistake. There you go. More Yu-Gi-Oh wisdom. Blue eyes white dragon. Come on, guys. What a turn. Nutshell just finding some really nice little spots here with some sort of raggy sorts of hands. Jack 5 suited, obviously a hand he's going to play there pretty much every time. When you got like a top pair and a flush draw thing going on, you're feeling good about life. You're feeling good about life most of the time. Ketzer, really nice hand to defend here. Don't know if he's going to want to escalate things here. Maybe just take a flop and play a very playable hand, but who knows? Let's see what he does. Goes for the call. 2 overs, backdoor clubs, ace jack, just the 2 over cards. And currently the best hand with ace high.
You just hate to see it, though. You hate to see this flop when you're playing against the big blind. Not even a color
you're absolutely
represented.
right, Joe. Yeah, this is definitely the kind of board that you fear when you open up hands like ace jack. The big blind going to be defending a lot of stuff that connects with this. And getting check raised is kind of gross in these spots, too, when you're blocking spades. When you're unblocking spades, excuse me, it goes for 2/3 pot on the flop. Really wants to punish some of those weaker things that might have equity.
Raise and take it for Ketzer, sorry. Ketzer. Ketchup. Catsup. Catsup. Ketchup.
All right, Nutshell opening ace-10 here. Ketzer, again, with one of these sort of weak-suited king-x combos that can be played as 3-bets. Decides to let it go this time.
You're right, Tidy. Let's just say Philippe from now on. Thank you. And a walk for Nutshell. Nutshell limping in with 6-8. Felipe jack-9. Flops a jack, an 8 for Nutshell. Puts out the min bet. Four on the turn. It's a club. Does not really affect anything about this board. Check, check. Will we see another check, check? Ketzer maybe will feel inclined to value bet once Nutshell has checked twice. It does.
Emmy in the chat is asking, after knowing the basics of poker, what's the next topic to study? The intermediate
Anesthesiology.
Chess. Boom. Send it.
Nicholas asks, who are the best 3 top poker players right now? That would be Nutshell is in first, Korn in second, and Bona Base in third. Thank you for your question.
Blind v blind. He only goes for the straight min raise here, though. That's really interesting. Where are we at? I think probably a bigger size there is usually advisable. Korn definitely in a position to defend pretty much any 2 cards from there if they want to. I think against the straight min raise with the antes, he should literally be calling with any 2 cards versus a min raise blind v blind. So might want to be sizing up there if you want to get some folds in there too, Bonabazy.
Nutshell jamming
Wow.
onto Felipe. Jamming onto? Into? On? What is it? What do you say? Jamming on or
Jamming,
into, but not onto?
I think into.
Into.
Yeah.
Where did
I mean,
get
that's a spot where
onto from?
Nutshell probably could have afforded to actually go for a trap there with the sevens too, not necessarily because he wants to get it all in with that hand, but because if he limps and he allows catcher to try and make a raise, he can push, generating more dead money, winning some of that in non-showdown, and then obviously having the best hand amounts in the time. Maybe he's trapping deuces, trays, fours, fives, sixes some of the times too, if he's going to limp call. They might fold versus the push given the ICM, so I think the trap there with the sevens might actually win him some more chips, both at non-showdown and as a trap for some of the stuff he dominates.
Walk for Nutshell.
Oh, here we go.
So a little action between Corn and Nutshell.
Yeah,
Corn,
Nutshell
min-raise,
not afraid to
Nutshell.
3-bet here.
But does not. Lets it go.
Doesn't do it. Doesn't have to do it every time, but definitely a spot for him to try and do some stuff if he wants to.
And it's Felipe's turn to re-raise with ace deuce.
Yeah, looks like he wants to take the opportunity. Corn does have a pretty hand here. I don't think it's quite strong enough to call given SPR post flop, so I like the fold there. Maybe Jack 10 suited, he might consider a call instead. Slightly better equity.
Give him a walk.
Yeah.
Tidy asks, what are they basing the 3-bet frequencies on? Probably the cards in their hand would be my guess. Thank you for your question.
In some cases, they might be randomizing as well. Like, I was talking to some players in EPT Monte Carlo about this, and they're saying they wear this is a classic one. You wear a normal watch, sort of an analog watch, and then depending on where the second's hand is, they randomize like that live. If they're going, I might 3-bet this button, or I might not, depending on where it sits, they can decide, without being too biased.
Felipe may want to reset his watch if that's what he's choosing his raise frequency, although it does pick up a flush draw now. Nutshell with 2 pair. And this will not work as a semi-bluff. Ketzer's going to have to get there. Doesn't. And does luckily give up the ruse on the river. 70 million now for Nutshell. Ketzer dropping below the 10 million mark. Ketzer trying to win one pre-flop there, gets shoved on. That's right, Sid. Felipe deep into the danger zone. Everybody loves Raymond Guy. Used to play poker. Did he go bankrupt, says Mike. And no, not only is he not bankrupt, but he owns the Brad Garrett Comedy Club at the MGM Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'll be hosting for a week, June 27th to July 3rd. Thanks for your question.
What a setup. Love it.
Can someone ask questions that relate to my shows this coming Thursday, next Thursday, and the following weekend? Because that would be great.
I was going to queue you up for the Edinburgh one, but we're still pretty far away from that one, eh?
Yeah, I got a lot of seats to fill in America before that happens. Corn raising with 2 9s.
Oh, my days. What a spot.
And yeah, Nutshell going a little nuts here with pocket fours. Korn makes the call. Neither player hits a set. Both players facing 2 overcards on board. And pocket fours are continuing nice and hard.
Yep. It's basically a bluff at this point, right, Joe? Like you've 3-betted pre on this board. You just want to get all the stuff that was beating you pre that might have flatted to fold. And very good. Very good. Claps in the chat. Claps in chat. Good job. I love it, though. I like to play with the fours there again. I think that's really, really cool. And a call. We are all in. Ketzer at risk, guys. Ace-5 flop, basically 0%, and Ketzer has been eliminated in 4th place, guys. $76,625.93. Congratulations, sir. Very, very strong showing from that individual. And we're down to 3, now guaranteed $107,494.73.
Threads Up Poker. Everyone guaranteed 6 figures. Pretty cool. Flush draw for Nutshell. That's half pot. Should be enough to get Jack 4. I think clubs would be the suit that most closely resembles an ear of corn. Some messed up corn, but I said
Mighty
want
Hatchet.
a deal.
Oops, sorry.
I assume that's what the rest of that statement is.
Yeah.
8, 9, 10,
pretty
Jack.
much.
That's a straight for Bone. Takes it down.
Yeah, I
King
think
Jack
he's making
suited.
reference to the fact that he eliminated the player in 4th, and kind of like, hey, buddy, I would have done a deal with you, but there you go, GG.
Bone folds. Corn and Nutshell in the blinds, both with a 6, and just a walk for Nutshell.
Okay, quick
for
action
Bone.
now.
Ladies for Corn. Home base not getting away with the limp. Makes the call and flops huge and up and down street flash draw.
That's massive.
This is big. Queens
And a
only
big
with
bet on the flop.
50%. Yeah, only 50% of the equity. Brick on the turn for Bone Base. Lobster says, these are the worst flops to double whiff after. I totally agree. This is so frustrating if you can't connect
Yeah.
on the turn or river. And this is, Bone Base has just been put all in by Korn. Obviously, this is a situation where you're not ahead now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a very unconventional play that usually lends itself to extreme strength, Joe, and usually just, huge pairs, basically. I mean, or even worse, ace, king of clubs, something like that, which you really don't want to see. perhaps not even worse, but you know what I'm saying. Still not a good outcome, and definitely up there in the heavens.
I mean, you just simply cannot call this, right? There's just
No, not in my opinion. You could have done something different on the flop when you had tons and tons of equity, but on the turn you get absolutely crippled here. Like, you know, best case scenario, you have the best case scenario is you have the straight draw plus you have 2 live cards as well, right? If this is just a complete airball bluff with ace king off with no clubs or something, and even then you're not really getting the right price. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just trying to wangle it, and even in the best case scenario here, I just don't think you're getting the right price to make the call here. I think maybe check raising the flop or doing something crazy in the flop might have been preferable, because you can still get stronger hands to fold flop still, maybe not queens, but you know, overcards that have equity that are still ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can understand. I don't know how experienced. Let's check out Bone Base. 120K in PokerStars earnings. So already locked up their best ever cash heading into the day today. So, you know, this is a player that's not as experienced as the ones we're used to doing commentary on. This is like a slam dunk, snap fold most of the time. As the shortest stack, we can see, you know, that there is... Sometimes you can consider this a little bit because what else are you going to do, right? You're not really waiting out either of these two players. It would be a miracle for one of them to go broke before you, so maybe you want to gamble. But as Nick said, on the flop, you've got twice as much equity as you have before you brick this turn. And at this point, this is, you know, you have to look at this like you have five high. This is that's about it.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, when you've got such a nice draw as well, I can totally understand why he decides to flat the flop too. Like, you know, getting it in against an overpair feels awful, but I think you do win a lot at non-showdown if you do get, you know, ace king, ace queen, ace jack to fold flop if you check raise too, or, you know, just shove or whatever the circumstance should have called for.
And Bone Base in a little bit of trouble now. Just over 20 bigs, and maybe can get into more trouble here depending on how this hand shakes out. Korn opening ace 10.
Wow.
And Korn flops trips.
What a flop.
And now we have 3 bad hands. Pulls over to Korn in nutshell. Korn limping in with 9-7. Second hand in a row for 9-7 in Korn. And nothing really for either player. King, queen, tray, 2 hearts. Korn firing.
Yeah, just stab flop here every time. I mean, if I'm not shell here, I'm always floating this bet because this is always the bet that people make when they have absolute error and they just want to try and take advantage of the king queen tray board. But for the most part, just stabbing flop is going to win you enough money just to do it every single time when you completely brick there. It's a really, really interesting texture to exploit players on, because if people are thinking they're just going to do that pretty much every time, and then when you float, they have to be really honest on the turn. Okay, little king-queen action here. Small line for Bone Base. And he says, maybe bad deal? Maybe bad decision,
Maybe
Korn.
bad
Here we go. So he's still making reference to the 4-5 suited hand, and
Whose bad decision? His? Hopefully you don't lose sleep at night over folding 5 high. Pair of sevens bets ain't going to be enough to get rid of Corn's top pair. The deuce changes nothing. Corn probably happy to call another bet from Nutshell. And is going to get the opportunity. 2.5 billion. Was OADSF. What does that mean?
Open-ended
Was
straight.
on a draw. Was on a draw. Straight flush. I don't know that any of the players are going to be able to. Is that common parlance? OAD on a draw?
I haven't seen OAD before. I've seen open-ended straight draw or open-ended straight flush draw before. OESFD or whatever. I've seen that kind of language, that kind of acronym.
There's only one OE in my book, and it's Old English Malt Liquor. Edward 40 hands. Let's go. Nutshell in the small blind. King deuce, king 6 suited for bone base. Not terrible three-handed. And it's a deuce for Nutshell. Oh no, sad news from the low event. Taxationist Theft, who is chip leader three-handed, has just been knocked out in third. Queen's cracked by ace-5. Sourdough.
Damn sourdough.
Taking down, the carbs are taking down the ladies left and right.
GG. Unlucky, buddy. Very good run, though. That's still a huge score for that, especially for that event. That's insane. All right, 5-3 suited, deciding to limp. King Jack off in the small blinds. Decides to pump it up. He's going to make it exactly 3 times the big. And Jack's going to be putting in just about half their stack, really committing to it, and going to take it down a lot of the time there. I mean, I think after the 3-bet there, Joe, I prefer just the rip with the Jacks. I think it makes it look a lot weaker. You know, might convince your opponent to just side call with, you know, a smaller pair, like 8s or 9s or, you know, 7s or 6s, and just go. It feels like he just has, you know, deuces or trays. When you cold 4-bet really small like that, I think you're just screaming too much strength in my book. But fair play is going to pick up a chunky pot regardless. Said deal or
die later.
I love it. Oh, look at this. Little blind be blind. Ace 10 of hearts. Very nice. Yeah, something like that.
Corn. Oh, we're going to countdown. We got a countdown. The threats have started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bone base.
Oh, that's it.
Calling their
No more
shot. Die.
I mean, in negotiation, Joe, it's important that you create, you know, scarcity and you create a sense of urgency. And now he's going to kill him with
right
kindness.
in the face with a flower.
This.
Look, there's got to be consequences. You got to believe that you'll walk away from the negotiating table.
Oh, man, that's so cool. That is so cool.
Nutshell betting 2 pair.
I'm going to use that next time I'm live. Next time
Those,
I'm playing
by
live.
the way, those seconds, that wasn't seconds. 10, 9, 8. That was quick counting.
gets down to 2, and everyone's like, no, wait. Okay. We'll agree to your terms. Well played. Let's just chop it right now. 3 ways. Chop it even.
Ooh, baby.
Samoa in the chat. How's it going? Yeah, that's right. Masterclass. The art of negotiation.
Nutshell. Nutshell betting the flush draw. Corn maybe is going to stick around for one more street. Now has the better flush draw, but Nuts has made it.
Yeah, he might be tempted to use that ace of hearts as a bluff because he is, of course, blocking the nut flush here.
Nutshell going for that intimidating sizing, not as far as numbers are concerned, but the stack. Ooh, it's so many chips. Bone base. Playing out of Canada. There you go, Nick. Corn.
Yep.
Going for it. Aw, shucks. Did not catch the heart on the river. The board pairing might be a scary card for Nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Corn could still bet 18 million here, remain in the game, and still have, and then you're still forced to call with 9-10 of hearts. But it goes check. But I appreciate the line. Very, a lot of heart there for Corn. I like that a lot.
I think Hardigan's the only person who noticed me saying, aw, shucks. And that's okay. Top pair for Nutshell.
Top pair. Bet and take it.
Nutshell really pulling away now, closing in on a 3-1 chip lead over Corn.
Yep, that aggression just absolutely amazing. Defends the big blind. Does pick up an interesting kind of situational draw.
That deuce still good for bone base.
Yeah, hard to put in 2 barrels here with bottom pair, though, and
No.
the 4 will actually improve.
On the river.
Nice.
That's a tough one. Tough to lose those. Bone base. Conspicuously quiet in the chat box after that one.
What if he just makes it 21 here? 2.1. Decides to go for the direct min with the suited ace king, and Jack 4 does improve. A little bit too cheap. And yet, oh my gosh, it's so small. Oh my God, it's so small. How can you fold?
Sorry, I heard, oh my God, it's so small, and I forgot where I was for a second. Bone base raising king 8. Jack 5 seems like a hand you can just walk away from. Nine, 7 of clubs. For BB.
BB for short.
Limp in the B.
Just mixing it up here.
Seven's good right now. 7 in a club.
Big bet, too. Wow.
We've got corn and we've got porno for pyros. We make big bets. We make big bets.
Wow.
Little 290s for everybody. I'm the oldest person. By a long shot. Korn opening 7-8 suited, 3-bet by Nutshell, who does have a pretty creative 3-bet range. I like it. I don't know if it's good, but I like it.
Totally relentless. Yeah, it's working for him. I don't see why not.
And players are now on break. Nutshell does have nearly a 3-1 chip lead over Korn, who's got a nearly 2-1 chip lead over Bone Base. Now, I think we might have a little treat coming up during this break, and we certainly have one as we welcome back everybody's favorite, James Hardigan.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, we're going across the PokerStars Arena to the final table of Scoop 35L. This is the low version of the event we're watching this evening. This is the mini Sunday Million, and as you referenced a short while ago, they are now heads up at this final table because taxation is theft. The People's Hero went out in third place. The final two have agreed a deal. Those two players being San Ebi from Denmark and Japarox from Brazil. Denmark currently with the chip advantage, but there's the chance of another Brazilian scoop title in this mini Sunday Million.
Japarox versus Sane BB.
So headline stats on this one, just to recap. A $55 buy-in. 15,696 entries, including more than 5,600 re-entries. Total prize pool of $784,800 and a first prize up for grabs of $88.5K. Although, as just referenced, they have done a deal and we don't know the terms of that deal.
This is such a nice river for Japarox here. Obviously, going to get paid off by pretty much any pair, including the tray that we see here from Sane Baby. I wouldn't mind seeing like a 48 million on this river, something like that, or even bigger, really. You can get paid by so much here. They either have like a whole lot of nothing or, yeah, there you go. 49 million snapped off. That's the size. That's the size.
So following this event on a 20-minute delay, so obviously while our event is on break, we've still got action from the low. And yes, we have seen a switcheroo, and now Brazil is in command.
Yeah, love the c-bet here with the gut shot. The A6 should come along pretty much every time. I don't mind the check raise either here. I think this is, in fact, GTO to check raise your bottom pairs when you have larger kickers here. And taking it down. Very, very nice.
I'm actually, that might make the note, that might make the post-it note.
Oh, yeah?
You still keeping those notes, Joey?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm writing a book. Check raise. Bottom pair when you have larger kicker. Applicable in all situations.
Absolutely. Applicable in all situations.
Sorry, too late. Doesn't fit on the post-it. Sorry, Nick.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we got the flush draw against two pair here.
Wow.
The check raise from Japarox. And how fast does San Ebi want to play this in response? Have some of that.
Clicks it back at him. He's giving him the most amazing price, though, guys. He's like, he literally cannot fold a flush draw for this price. It's going to cost him a ton of money.
You don't want him to fold the flush draw. You want him to call and miss it.
Aha! He calls and misses. So looks like we're going to see another switch in the chip lead. Looks like San Ebi's going to come out on top after this.
He's like,
check.
I can't believe what fell.
No ace on the desk. Instead, it was a 7. So queens
You're
and
definitely
threes
all
good.
in here.
Half pot value bet.
Will it get called?
By Jack High?
I mean, I think he's going to have a missed draw, or he's going to have a worse 2 pairs. So I think probably a mistake not to go for all of it, especially when it's for less than pot. Because they're just going to fold any of the draws, and then they're going to call with all of the 2 pairs.
So we are going back to the medium, which is returning from break. It's our main event of the evening. It is the $530 buy-in Sunday Million Special Edition, where 3 players remain, and it's Nutshell from Chile, who still has the chip lead. Huge advantage over Korn 2005 and Bon Base. Time for Nick to take a break. Joe and I are going to call the 3-handed action from this final table. And first hand back, and it's Korn versus Nutshell to the flop. And it is a pair of queens for Korn, and queens still good by the river. So a relatively small pot goes in the direction of Korn 2005. Huge advantage still for Nutshell, and what a ridiculous ride that Nutshell has been on, having come into this final table as chip leader, having built up that chip lead, lost it in 2 almost consecutive hands, and then worked their way back again into the catbird seat.
And now gets to beat up on Bone Base, who called on the flop. Does have the best hand now. Looks like Nutshell is going to give up.
Yeah.
And is going to let Bone Base get to showdown.
Benny, don't be confused. The deal was done in a different tournament. No deal has been agreed at this final table. They are playing for the advertised payouts. 107k for the 3rd place finisher, 150k for second, 211k for first. Heads up in the low, the $55 mini Sunday Million. The 2 players have agreed a deal, but we don't know the terms of that deal.
A walk for Korn. That's right, Tidy. Bone Base did declare deal or die multiple times. And while I don't love the violent imagery, I think we can assume it was mostly in jest.
We had a good chortle.
It's not like he said he's going to burn the place down. By the way, when that whole thing happened, did anybody reference Milton from Office Space?
No, I don't think they did.
Yeah, I'm gonna burn the whole building down. Just want my stapler.
Is there a lanky American poker pro with a baseball cap looking for a stapler right now?
I was told I would get a piece of cake.
So the button open from Korn, the 3-bet from Nutshell, who has Queen Jack as well, but Queen Jack suited. And back up to 95 million. By the way, quick update from the Super High Roller. So the 25k started tonight. Now, bear in mind that we are going to be streaming the final table tomorrow. It's very early days. I think they're still in late reg right now. But in the early stages of the 25k, we have got some familiar names at the top of the leaderboard. Dimitar Danchev, Connor Beresford, and Parker Talbot. Tonka is among the chip leaders right now. So that will be our live stream tomorrow night at the usual time. The biggest buy-in event of Scoop 2022, the 25k Super High Roller.
Patonka Talks. I love me some Patonka Talks.
So if Sam makes the final table of that one, we'll watch him in action. If he doesn't make the final table and doesn't make any other day twos, he'll be with us, plus Griffin Benja, on stream tomorrow night. Oh, Jack 10 versus Ace King, both hands suited.
And both have 3 to a flush right now. I think I frustration call Jack 9 of diamond, Jack 10 of diamonds there sometimes. I'm like, there's a 9, there's a diamond, come on.
Well, you know when it's always coming. And it's given Korn the advantage in this hand. 700k into 1.6 million. And a fold. So I'm right in thinking, Joe, Nutshell hasn't crossed the 100 million mark yet, right?
Not yet, but obviously now does have the 3x lead over Korn.
Yeah. Yes, William, we have discussed the danger of Googling that term. I immediately referenced there was a controversial movie a few years back called Baisse-moi, which you can do the translation.
Oh.
So, yes, I'm aware what that word means.
Sounds like a Gasper Noé movie.
Do you know what? Now I'm going to have to Google it because you got me thinking it might be.
Oh, really? That would be awesome.
No, it actually has a female director and writer. Year 2000. It has a 4.4 rating on IMDb.
It's got a much higher rating on Pornhub.
Well,
Ace
Ace
High
High
Yeah.
still ahead, but if Nutshell can pull the trigger on a bluff, maybe, just maybe, can steal this. Overbets the pot, 5.6 million. No hero call. And Nutshell is close, so close, 99.5 million.
Get there. Blackmore, who says, "Hey Joe, unban me on Twitch." No. And
There
if
we
you
go.
stop asking, oh, we got it.
We got it. 100 million chips for the chip leader.
If you stop asking, I won't ban you on YouTube. How's that? It's a compromise. George, who asks, "Hey Stabes, any chance the big game ever comes back?" I'd say there's a chance. I'm not saying it's a good chance, but there's a chance. King, queen, queen 6. The 7s are always coming. What do you guys think if the big game came back and you have old Jay Hardigan in that Chris Rose Scott Huff seat? No one's made it more than a year on the big game. In the
Can I have Chris Rose's job instead, please?
wait, his current job?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's making a fortune for talking about like proper sports.
He went on to, the reason he left the show is because he got offered the chance to do a show from his house for what I can only assume is millions of dollars.
Yeah, I'll take it.
It really was a lot of fun. It'd be really cool to do it with you, James. Maybe it's cool to do it at all. First of all, I'm assuming I would be back, but who knows? Who knows? I might get replaced also.
Okay, we'll draw for our Canadian friend. Right now, 9 high is the best hand, and Nutshell is betting 800k. Gets called, has paired their 8 on the turn, now a 91% favourite. And the board bricks out for Bombays. Oh, interesting. A bet of 3.2 million. And a fold. Bluffs it. Wins the pot.
It's pretty tough to bluff Nutshell.
Who opens now with Ace-Jack. Corn with 10-9 off. Calls. Oh, top pair against the nut flush.
I mean, how do you ever get away from top pair?
And no 10, no 6 on the river.
At least you no longer have top pair.
True. And overbets it again.
I don't know what you think you can get called by here when you bet this big. It's pretty unlikely your opponent has a 6 or a random queen.
Yeah, and Korn doesn't make a lot of hero calls. Doesn't make a lot of thin calls. There we go.
Yep.
Close to 105 million now for the chip leader. Huge advantage over Korn and Bombays. And again, I know we keep bringing this up, and I don't want to keep going over old ground, but considering the difference in prize money between third and second, nearly $50,000, Nutshell could just really start pounding on these guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're there. We're definitely there.
Like, better than a 4-1 advantage. Both players around 19, 23 million between those numbers.
Great stat here, usually reserved for Stat Trick, but Frankie B says, Korn is an old school player, been around forever, prob since 05. Pretty interesting.
Well,
I wonder where you gleaned that from.
I mean, clearly has been around a while, and we know that from Korn's previous Scoop results. We referenced that this is Korn's third Scoop final table, looking for their first title. The first Scoop final table they made, Joe, was back in 2012, and the second was in 2014. Nice. So it's been a while.
Primetime Poker on YouTube says, Joe, silence is golden. Well, guess what? Now you're a King Midas. You banned. Thank you for your comment.
Ban them all. Sevens on the button. Opens to 2.4. Nutshell folds. Has dropped below the 100 mark.
Nope.
Up top pair.
Oh, there we go. Queen.
You'll take top pair, right?
Yes.
That's easy to figure out.
And Nutshell does not have the best hand.
No. River's a small piece, though. Pair of sixes.
6 might be good enough to prevent a river bluff. Yes. base. Gonna have the wherewithal to value bet. Top pair does, yes.
Nine eight versus 6-5. 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a straight.
Ooh.
That is 100% a straight. I've had it verified. Cross-referenced, double-checked.
I counted it on both my hands.
Oh, and it goes to waste.
So Korn now the shortest.
Yeah. And where are we at blind-wise right now? 400,000, 800,000. Not going to 500 and a million for another 22 minutes. King high versus queen high in this hand. As we continue the three-handed action in this $530 Sunday Million Special Edition. Meanwhile, news from the final table of the $55 Mini Sunday Million. We dropped by that event on the break, and the heads-up battle is over. This has played to a winner, and guess what, Joe? It is yet another victory for Brazil. It is Japarox who took first place from San Ebbe from Denmark. Now remember, they did do a deal. We didn't know the terms of the deal at the time. 69,300 for second, 82,300 for first. So congratulations for Japarox for winning the low version of Event 35.
I mean, we got to talk to the PokerStars Fat Cat and we got to go to Brazil. We got to do Brazil.
From Korn 2005. Oh, cheeky three-bet from Nutshell in the small blind with the worst king, King 4.
I don't know if Korn's been watching, the stream on delay to see that Nutshell has done this repeatedly with weak-suited kings.
Yeah. Makes the call and hits top pair,
flop.
just
Wow.
bottom pair for Nutshell. However, look at the pot, 13.9. Look at Korn stack, 13.3. And we know that Nutshell likes to bully. And there it is. Bad timing. Korn calls all in and fades the flush draw, and Korn doubles up. The dynamic changes again. 2-1 chip advantage for Nutshell with 80 million, 40 million for Korn, and now Bombay's back into third place.
That was a big sweat on the turn. Korn was the favorite, but lots of ways to lose that one on the river. And an up and down draw for Korn now. And now a flush draw for Nutshell.
And Nutshell calls, but does not get there on the river. The straight is still good.
You always make a pair when you're up and down.
What are you smirking at, Joseph?
this dumb insult leveled at you that I'm timing them out because I don't like people taking shots at you in general, but it's so stupid that I don't think you would take it as an insult anyway.
I don't take massive issue with you banning people on a whim, so knock yourself out.
Hardigan, the type of guy to only have one beer at the pub. Like, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm more banning them on thinking that that's an insult. Oh, someone made an up and down draw.
I wish my alcohol consumption was that contained.
Yeah, James has so much self-control and resolve that he's able to moderate his alcohol consumption. Exactly. It's not exactly a burn.
But again, also, sadly not true. A pair of kings. Loyal Lion asks, how did Nutshell come all the way back? Nutshell won some hands. Thank you for your question. Pair of fours now for Nutshell.
Wait. Hold on, bottom. What? I just check raise bottom pair when you have larger kicker. It's right here.
Tough to check raise when you're in position. Oh no, he's out of position.
I always forget about
And
that.
leads.
Nick Brown says, Nuth blowing up again. We'll see. I would agree. If this doesn't work, this would be a bit of a spew.
Wow, gets
It
involved.
does work, though.
And now Ace Jack on the button. Why do I get the impression this is going to be one of those epic three-handed matches that lasts about 4 hours?
It's looking like it.
Top pair versus second pair. Korn might not fold to one bet, doesn't. Now it's top two for Nutshell. The comeback is on. And I mean, that's a disciplined fold because knowing Nutshell, you'd be thinking if I've got a piece, I should call here because Nutshell could just be barreling out of frustration at having lost that huge all-in. Kings, that's a solid holding. But Queen 10 is a defend, and it's top set for Nutshell. But alas, your opponent hasn't caught anything. It goes check, check.
You're like, I didn't need top set. How about just one pair from my opponent?
Yeah, yeah. Queen high flop, now we're talking.
And now we're back to all crap cards.
Gustavo asks, where are they from? We have got two players from Canada. Bombase and Korn 2005, both playing from Canada. Nutshell is playing from Chile. There were three Brazilians at the final table. They've all gone, but a Brazilian did take down the mini Sunday Million.
It's nice to see Canada in the mix. Closest thing we get to Americans these days.
Still got 14 minutes until the blinds go up. Ace Jack on the button for the chip leader. Opens. Queen 10 calls out of the small blind. Heads up. And again, not flush draw for Nutshell. Ace high, still the best hand. Yes, Brian Brazil are top of the scoop leaderboard. We checked in with Howard Swains earlier on, and in his opinion, that's never going to change. They, what is it, 23, 24 titles, and the UK's in second place with 9. I mean, it's not even a contest.
This is not even a contest. Nutshell drawing dead on the flop. George, if you want to hear me say hello, my babies, you got to tune in at the top of the broadcast, or at the very least, the top of when James goes to break. I would never say hello, my babies, in any other circumstance. So if you want to hear me say hello, my babies, it's just not going to happen, because hello, my babies is not something I say unless it's at the beginning.
Oh, look at this, Joe. Ace-Queen versus 7s, blind v blind. The raise from Nutshell.
I mean, let's go, Shorty.
Yep. Re-raises to 6.4. Nutshell likely to respond with a 4-bet. And we are going to be racing. Bombase needs to hold, but it's an ace-high flop. No 7 on the river. It's not coming this time, and we are now heads up. Wow, I just predicted it was going to be a long period of three-handed action, and 5 minutes later, we lose one of the two Canadians. Bombase out in third for $107,000, and now it is Corn 2005 heads up against Nutshell, who has the sizable chip advantage. But this is a deep heads-up battle. We are playing 50 bigs effective.
Yeah, this could go for a while also. Tidy asking 7s too loose. No, I don't think so. Totally reasonable with the stack that Bombase had, especially given that they were the shortest stack. There's no one to wait, to ladder up. All good. Totally standard. Pair of 5's good for Nutshell. Pair of 3's here for Corn.
8-6. The one thing I would say, Joe, and look, I'm done with making any kind of predictions, but the way these guys play, particularly Nutshell, just because this is a deep stacked heads-up battle doesn't mean it couldn't escalate very, very quickly and at zero notice.
It could. Oh, there's a straight here for Corn, but a bigger straight for Nutshell. All right, well, James, maybe. Okay, just a bet and a call.
I mean, those are actually with solid hands. I mean, I'm talking about them getting it in with, like, random draws.
Oh, I just realized there's a potential for a little something here.
Something for the weekend, sir.
Nutshell.
110 million. Plays 35 million, so better than a 3-1 advantage for Nutshell right now. 6 is against ace-9. 6 is still good on a 4-3-2 flop.
Oh man, well we have if a 5 comes, it'll be the same situation again in reverse.
We will, in the words of Blazing Squad, flip reverse it.
Nope.
But it's the 9 on the river. It's top for Nutshell, who bets close to 4 million. Gets called, extends their chip advantage.
So far, this has been all Nutshell.
Yeah.
4-1 chip lead.
And King High still ahead. King 6 versus Jack Deuce. Don't worry, human calculator. Only 8 minutes to go till we get to the 500,000, 1 million blind level.
I'm firing it up. Firing up the old noggin. Sorry, I think I heard something. Ow. I'll be ready in just about 8 minutes, James. Has nothing to do with the levels changing. That's how long it takes me to get going.
It's like
calling for
firing
it?
up a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
The tape's whirring at the moment, making that horrible screechy noise.
See, Nutshell every once in a while just runs into it. Will they be able to take the foot off the gas? Not so far.
Oh, Nutshell. Oh,
You-
but
you know, I was
going
gonna
to
say,
worried about
you don't-
an ace.
You don't love your spot right there with top pair,
No, you
bad
don't.
kicker, 4 card straight. I mean, I really wonder if anyone's watching this on the 30-minute delay, because Nutshell's getting away with a lot.
Okay, well, let's see how Korn fares here with King Jack against Ace 4. Well, again with top pair, but the 4 high flush draw is a thing.
Oh my goodness. I mean, still just like not even a 60-40. All right, a little bit better now that we've gotten to the turn.
Yeah.
Korn, you got to bet sometime. I mean, Korn just giving free cards left and right. Now it's a full house, luckily, so the heart wouldn't matter, but yikes. Carlos, thank you for the kind words. I would love to go to Portugal also. That sounds super fun. Except,
Yeah,
unless things have changed, we wouldn't be allowed in, would we?
correct. So you might remember that the EPT visited Portugal a couple of times, went to Villamora, but there is a very, very strict rule. Hold on a second. Let's see if this escalates. No. There's a very strict rule about cameras in casinos, to the point where not only were we not allowed to make TV shows or produce a live stream from that event, but we couldn't even have an official EPT photographer in the venue. All the photographs had to be taken outside of the venue.
Ooh,
Oh.
baby. This
Domination,
could get
rotation.
interesting.
Yeah, this is where Korn potentially gets a double up even.
I mean, if Korn just shoved on this turn, right? I mean, could Nutshell really fold? Korn once again, I mean, not betting.
Wow, checks the river.
I mean, gets a bet. Gets a bet out of it. I don't want to play results too much. It worked in that case, but you're playing
Look.
against a guy like me. I'm checking back that river.
Completely, but I don't like to be too critical. I'm not a very good poker player. I'm not at the final table of a $530 buy-in event. I've not made 3 scoop final tables. But as a casual observer, Korn's approach to this heads-up battle does seem a little bit passive.
I mean, the good news is Nutshell did overbet the pot there, right? So it's probably more than you could have gotten if you had just bet, because it's really hard to overbet that board.
I kind of feel that that's, again, this is going to sound harsh, but it does seem like luck rather than judgment. That river is getting checked back so many times.
Yeah, I think you're right. Especially because your opponent has pretty much the top of their range.
Yeah.
If they have a worse hand than that, they're definitely checking back. Like maybe ace king isn't going to check back there very often, but they're not going to have ace king all the time.
No.
Korn is on a huge GTO ride, but I haven't watched the entire match. Okay, not sure what that means, but I like that. A GTO ride? Sure. Oh, nutshell, you're the nuttiest.
But, again, if you pick up on how Korn is playing, these moves are not out of line. It's a
You know what's
solid
funny
strategy.
is that both of these things are items that might end up in poop. Nuts
I
and
really don't
corn.
have to respond to that.
You can see it later.
Of all the things that you could reference right now, that's where you went.
It's just, I can't control the genius. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How about a straight?
I mean, if you were a toddler, I'd say borderline genius, but you're meant to be a grown man. You're 50 years old, Joe.
A grown man who knows how to recognize a healthy movement.
Well, there is a straight on board, but Korn has the 10 high straight.
Ooh, versus the 4 high straight. Is that what it's called? 4 high?
Nutshell. Makes the good fold.
Okay, both sold by street vendors is probably a little cleaner. Thanks, Joey.
Aces and fives.
You guys ready for another corn min value? Yep.
Man. Do not check this river.
There we go. It's not going to get called, but
Doesn't matter. It's the bet that counts.
four-wheeled, I do not tell any jokes in my stand-up act. Poker jokes. Sorry. I do tell jokes, just not poker jokes. Some would argue no jokes whatsoever. Corn's betting. Okay, Corn. I don't know what it is about trapping,
Yeah.
right? It's so appealing, like to just check and like let your opponent go crazy and snap it off. Like I really don't know what it is.
Look at this. The check raise from Nutshell. Sensing weakness. Korn with just a pair of fives folds it. So even when Korn picks up the aggression, gets blown off a marginal hand. Okay. Pair of aces. Checks. Playing in flow, to be fair. Nutshell continues. Called. Might now go check, check. No. Look at this. Nutshell, I guess, having picked up the nut flush draw, decides to fire a second barrel. Korn calls again. Board bricks out for Nutshell. Does Korn value this river? Or, I don't mind the check this time, but Nutshell does not bluff it, as the blinds do go up. 500,000, 1 million. Joe, Korn 2005 has the shorter of the two stacks, and therefore is what we call the effective stack. How many big blinds is Korn playing right now?
To how many decimal places do you want it?
6, please.
All right, here we go. 40.364002 big blinds.
My God, the human calculator, ladies and gentlemen, he is good. Really good.
Ooh, I'm going to need a short break after that.
Corn rivers the flush, bets 1.7. Nutshell playing more than 100 big blinds. Faults.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm back. Seven's good. Nutshell wins.
And every time I think Corn is making progress, Nutshell then wins a few pots and continues getting back up over 100 million again.
I mean, the difference is that Nutshell is winning the pots that they shouldn't be. And all it's going to take, I think, is one big bluff catch from Corn to really turn things around. Oh, here we go. Find out who the
9-7
real
versus 9-7.
poker player is here.
Feels like a fair fight. Well, slightly unfair that Nutshell has the diamond. And it's over on the flop. Oh! Aces go to waste. The best starting hand against the worst. Aces against 7 deuce offsuit. Huh.
Oh.
That was a fun one. The Spraggy for Nutshell. Ace 7 offsuit. 6 deuce suited, which is now a pair of deuces.
Yeah, not a terrible shout here from Lackmy, who says, haven't seen Corn bluff. Corn's reluctant to bet with value and reluctant to bet with nothing.
Yeah. Well, has aces here. Nutshell folds the 7-3. Pretty much the reverse of what we saw a couple of hands ago. I Love Lamp asks, is Corn Canadian? Yes. And Nutshell is from Chile.
4, 5, 6, 7.
It is a straight draw with the bond, 7-5 of spades. Meanwhile, a pair of sixes for Nutshell, who is going to pump it up. You've got to pump it up. Don't you know you'll pump it up? And then you will pump it up. Everybody is pumping it up. And now Nutshell, a 3-1 favorite.
Hey, look, there's somebody named Corn playing, and there's someone named Cobb saying pedantic things in the chat. Well, there used to be somebody named Cobb saying pedantic things in the chat. Thank you for your comment.
We've got trip sixes.
So brutal. To be fair, Korn did make a straight once today, which is a lot.
So Nutshell has opened up that huge advantage once again. Now we've got 10-8 of diamonds against Jack-4 of clubs, and it's a pair of 8s against a pair of 4s. Club draw now for Nutshell.
One thing I'll say for Nutshell, a little bit aggro in spots where the lines didn't always make sense. Nutshell does tend to like hit something, right? So it's not just like a pure bluff all the time. There's like a lot of opportunities for semi-bluffing, a lot of opportunities to like check raise second or bottom pair. And there's something to be said for that too. You know, sometimes running hot isn't necessarily even making hands, but just with the potential to make hands so you can play them aggressively.
Okay, 4-3 of diamonds for the chip leader, opens to 2 million. Ace-king for Korn. Re-raises to 7 million.
I think,
Not
oh my
sure
goodness,
to
what?
Play, I guess playing the flop in position with small suited connectors, but has completely missed this board. Instead, it's top pair, top kicker, and Korn can comfortably c-bet for 3.5.
I just, I'm not really sure what's going on here.
What the hell was
in
that?
the world?
Just jammed the flop with 4 high?
I mean, I'm going to try to defend this somewhat indefensible here. Want to look at numbers now. So
I'd recommend it if you're going to do that.
when you're playing against someone that never, yeah, that's him in a nutshell, right? Anyway, when you're playing against someone that folds every time you get super aggressive, I can understand the temptation to want to do that. But I guess what Nutshell is ignoring there is that how many 3-bets did we see come out of Korn, and how many 3-bets of that size?
Know your opponent, understand their betting patterns, and realize that that was a really, really weird move to make, and that's me putting it politely. Anyway, Nutshell has the opportunity to bounce back now with a pair of kings, overpair to the board, not much for Korn to be excited about. And yeah, the stacks did get a bit more even. Korn asked the question, do you want to potentially do a deal? Doesn't seem like Nutshell's interested.
I think we need to be emphasizing the nuts part of Nutshell.
I mean, I still can't quite get over that.
KCP says,
Nutshell.
in a nutshell, he done goofed. Did he goof or did he do it as a goof? It's unclear.
We've got the Grafton working out here for Nutshell. Turns the flush. Has a no-good street flash draw because the Queen of Hearts is dead, which is very disappointing.
Brick.
And trying to get back to at least a 2-1 chip advantage after Korn got the full double up there. Top pair, top kicker. And your opponent is practically drawing dead at the point that the chips go in. Whew. But Nutshell continues to hit, continues to connect. That is a flush draw.
Yeah. And man,
And that's
gets
a flush.
there. Now, one thing we haven't seen is the redraw get there. Korn's due. We missed it on the last hand. Korn doing their absolute best to rep the flush. Ooh, a not so great improvement on this river for Korn. Checks it back, though.
And here we go. So despite that questionable move by Nutshell, despite the gift of chips that Korn received, we're back again to a situation where Nutshell's got more than 100 million and has a decent edge on their opponent. Can you imagine if it had gone like running threes or something and Nutshell had won it on that hand?
You know how someone says genuine question when they usually don't mean genuine question? I do have a genuine question here. Nash Blood says, chip dumping, question mark? Is there a point to chip dumping when you're playing heads up? Is there any conceivable reason to dump chips to your heads up opponent? Am I overlooking something?
No, Joe, you just read out a really stupid comment.
Okay. Just checking.
Parajacks here for Nutshell.
This has been a fun day, no matter what happens. I just want everyone to know that.
Absolutely.
Bless you.
Excuse me. There's a lot of pollen in the air today. At my end of the PokerStars Arena, Joe, high temperatures, bright sunshine. And that means everyone on this side of the Atlantic kind of goes into complete meltdown.
I will admit this heads-up match has been so weird that if someone assumed that somehow they were colluding, maybe that would explain it.
I mean, I'm a great believer in not looking for logic where there isn't any. Just enjoy it. Just sit back, watch.
I'm enjoying it.
And enjoy. I mean, Korn had ace-king there, but bizarrely, Nutshell decided not to punt it off with 5-4. Ace deuce against queen 8. Ace high, still good. This bet of 1.4 million.
Oh!
He's met with a check raise. Okay.
A bluff!
Korn has found the aggression gear, has the gut shot straight draw, and has decided, have some of that. I'm going to stick it in your eye, Mr. Nutshell. Didn't you establish earlier on that that actually affected your voice and you were then struggling to speak for the next 20 minutes?
I was saving it. Luckily, Korn's not very aggressive, so I don't have to do it that often. To me, this is what the Sunday Million should be, by the way. I'm glad this is like unorthodox. I'm glad it's not two superstars. I'm glad it's two folks who seem to have been around for a little while, but maybe this is going to be their biggest score of their lives. Like, this is where those careers are built.
Well, obviously, we're heading into a break, right? We've got 60 seconds to go until we reach the next scheduled pause in this final table. So let's take the opportunity to talk about our final two players during that break. I think we're going to get there, although weirder stuff has happened.
I mean, this 10's been folded in multiple various situations. Korn sticking around. Now is going to have an even tougher call. Nutshell maybe won't be able to pull the trigger, though.
If Nutshell can pull the trigger, there is no way Korn is calling. And I will happily be proved wrong. Korn, if you can make the hero call... No. My finger was hovering, but only kind of like, because I knew that there wasn't a realistic chance of a hero call there. And I think we're going to squeeze in one more hand. Ace-Jack against the Grafton.
Come on, Corn. All right, let's do this. Let's go, buddy. What card is going to come on the turn that will lead to Corn's eventual fold?
Oh,
spade?
There's the spade draw.
Oh, this is a perfect spot. Just get it in. I mean, this is going to be even Stevens.
If. But no. Folds the best hand. And we're back to a 3-1 chip advantage for Nutshell as the players go on break. Heads up in Scoop 35M, the $530 Sunday Million Special Edition. Nutshell versus Corn for the title. And a difference of, what is it, more than $60,000 in prize money? $150K for the runner-up, more than $210,000 for the winner. They are playing this out. Doesn't seem like there's any desire to do a deal. We're going to talk about the players and talk about some of the action we saw during that last session. Nick Walsh back with us. And Nick, I will ask you a couple of specific questions in just a moment, but just to recap who we are watching right now, we've got Nutshell playing from Chile, $900,000 in PokerStars earnings, made the final table of a Sunday Million back in 2017, came 8th for 13.5 grand, has secured their best ever online cash tonight. Previous best result was in a bounty builder a couple of years back for 18K. Then we have Corn 2005, a Canadian player. This is their third Scoop final table. Was 8th in a 1K in 2012, 5th in a 1K in 2014, $500,000 in total PokerStars earnings. And again, I think Corn is looking at their best ever online result in this event. I imagine you were watching some of the action from that last session, Nick. And my first question to you is the shove from Nutshell. Is there a better way to describe it? Is there a nicer way to describe it than huge punt?
I can't even begin to fathom why the hand was played that way, honestly. So, like, I'm not in response to your question. I think that might be being polite. Will it work some of the time? Sure. It's in a 3-bet pot. Isn't your opponent just going to have a ton of that stuff that they really like, or at least a good portion of the time where you're putting it all at risk? I mean, it's a spot where you could even just like float one bet, and they're going to have to keep it pretty honest on the turn in a 3-bet pot, right? If they're 3-betting just like some random 8-7 suited or something, board comes king jack high, they can just like bet flop and then give up because they assume you've got queen 10 or king queen or whatever, right? So honestly, it's a really, really unusual situation for us to see here. And yeah, a punt indeed. But, for all of his aggression, it seems to be working for him regardless, right?
Yeah, and this is the weird thing. Corn has not been able to use that double up to their advantage. And now we're back to a situation we just referenced where it's 110 million versus 35 million. And what do you make of Corn's play? Because Joe and I, and many people watching the stream, commenting on Twitch and YouTube, are saying it's very passive. There's just so much checking it back and just folding the best hand so often.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, in that spot just then, obviously, he folding sort of 2-pair with the 9 there against two barrels of aggression. Now, there are plenty of situations where you want to make folds like that, right? And the board is getting scarier as you go, with the spade obviously coming on the turn as well. But when your opponent is just drilling you into the ground, you need to really, really get brave in these situations. And I wouldn't even consider that to be a particularly brave scenario, right? Like, there are situations when you play a lot of heads up like I do where you'll see me call down with second pair on an ace-high board in a 3-bet pot and all this other stuff. You need to be really brave in situations where there's a clear overcard and there's lots more opportunities for your opponents to have good hands. But on a board like that, just folding the turn, I think, especially given the aggression we've seen, it's very, very difficult not to get run down. And heads-up poker, there's just nowhere to hide, right? You just get drilled, 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 and if you can't fire back, if you're not brave enough to call down in some of these situations, there's just no way out, which is why it's such a highly skilled part of the game.
And Joe, the narrative seems to be that Nutshell is just piling on the pressure, then Korn kind of finds their way back into the game, then just gets hammered on again. And it's an awful thing to say, but it just feels inevitable that we're going to reach a point where Korn can't get back in the game, is on the ropes, and Nutshell closes it out. The way things are going right now, I just can't foresee Korn 2005 winning this.
There's only one way that Korn pulls this out, and that's to run really hot. Korn's, waiting to have the nuts every hand, which we know it's difficult to make a pair. It's even more difficult to make the nuts. As someone who oftentimes I accidentally play like this a lot of the time, like, oh, hey, I don't have a hand, I fold. I don't have a hand, I fold. And unless things just like card distribution smacks Korn in the face over the next session here, I don't know how much longer they're going to last.
Well, we are going to continue following this heads-up battle in this $530 Sunday Million Special Edition. Quick reminder that tomorrow we're going to be streaming the final table of the 25K Super High Roller, the biggest buy-in event of Scoop 2022. It started tonight. It'll play down to a winner tomorrow, and we will be back on air tomorrow at 6 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And we are back from break. Here we go. Nutshell versus Korn 2005.
I like this comment from Cobb, who says over-aggressive versus over-tight. It's like the battle of the opposites, except it's kind of like the opposites aren't, like, they're not equal things. It's like Gladiator with sword and shield versus Gladiator with nothing.
Right. It's not fire versus ice. The matchup, of two opposites. It's like extremely strong versus
fire versus propane.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know at this stage, I'm definitely in my wheelhouse now at these effective stack depths heads up. So I love to see this stuff.
Yeah, playing 33 bigs effective, and that king on the river saves Korn. We did get the pair of sevens for Nutshell on the turn, but Korn now has a luck on this.
Yeah, these are spots where you just want to full pot or maybe even slightly over pot river, right? Like, you're just going to get paid by all the pairs. I don't think at this stage he's really represented a 10 at any stage or a straight, so you're going to have the best hand a lot. All the kings call you, all the sixes call you, all the sevens call you, so you might as well just bang in a huge one here on the river. Exactly 4.25 million would be sweet for me. Maybe even no. See, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, I don't think you can necessarily be checking in these situations because you're just not gleaning enough value. Now, when he does check, he does seem to get a lot of overbets from Nutshell. So I think that there is some sort of cool opportunity for him to do that, because he did the same thing when he had King 10, right, guys? He had King 10 on the versus Ace King where he checked and then got an overbet on the river. But I don't know if you want to be giving up too many of those opportunities for him to choose to play his hand passively, because you're not going to make enough generally.
Okay, well, 9 high is ahead right now, but we can see Korn has the heart draw.
I mean, wouldn't we even like to see Korn betting that flop, with the 2 hearts when it's checked to him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's basically no. You should basically always be betting your flush draw in this situation, right? You just, with a hand like 7 high, you have so many combinations that actually have the better hand than you, that have equity that you want to be folding out, and you're not at a stack depth where you're really concerned about being check raised that aggressively, where you can't call at least one street to see the heart. So I think missing that, for example, is already very, very tricky.
Which is artisanal.
Artisanal.
It was right in the middle of Nick's very good analysis. It's like,
Sorry, you paused, Nick, and I thought you'd finished.
No, I understand. I'm used to flying these streams solo, so yeah, I get it. It's the same for the mods as well. They're like, okay, cool, ready to do that raid, and then I keep talking. They're like, I pressed the raid button already. No, stop talking. Yeah. It's also is worth noting as well that if you're playing heads up, unless you have a very specific reason not to, you should be playing pretty close to 100% of your range from position. There isn't even an argument that when you're closer to 50 big blinds or deeper, you should be min raising the majority of the range that you play, and then obviously there will be a lot more limps as you get shallower. But even there, like, I think people really underestimate how much you lose when you're not playing enough hands from position, and even a hand as weak as 8-3 off is actually going to be part of that range confirmed.
Oh, please, Corn, bet. Bet, son.
Tom, exactly.
No. It's Nutshell doing the betting. I mean, Corn with this draw.
Yeah, and I think the value of gut shots as well is really, really important to note too. Like, once he overbets, I think having a gutter with a king is really hard to play here, but maybe you should have done something differently. Maybe you should have led as opposed to allowing him to bet turn instead, and I think that's probably the line there.
What about an open-ender? Even better.
Yeah, exactly. Was he open-ended, guys? Sorry.
Yeah, he was
misread
open-ended, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
The point stands is what I'm
yeah.
saying, though.
The point even more stands in that scenario. Sorry, guys.
Sixes against 7-4.
This could be it.
Again, that's a combo you should never be folding there either versus the raise. You just need to be defending, or you're gonna get blasted off way too many spots. You're gonna give up too much at non-showdown. Okay. 10-6 should be a lead here a lot of the time. Yep. Yeah, when you have the gutter here, which is actually a gutter. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you. 7, 8, 9, 10 jack even. And the lead here is totally cool. Corn definitely needs to be defending this. Wow, that's strong.
Corn.
It's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that he finds that time to make a raise, though, right? Like, you're going to have the best hands so often. You might get some value for some draws and stuff, too, but it was an interesting spot for him to start putting his foot on the gas.
Jack 10
I was happy to
versus
see it.
Jack 9 here. Nutshell betting 1.4. Gets check raised.
That's fine. That's fine. But does he have the continue? Like, theoretically,
That's
he could bet turn and then go for Heart River too.
So you get called on the flop, but you don't barrel the turn. Checks it, and now Nutshell will take advantage of this.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a really cool hand to put in a second barrel, and I think you could do a lot on the river too.
Okay, jacks for Corn, but not much for Nutshell. A raise to 2 million. Nutshell calls. Can't be overly excited with that board. A couple of backdoors.
Come on, Corn. There you go. I mean, you just raise any bet here. Okay. Fair enough.
8-7 against 7-5. A domination situation in Corn's favor. Raised by Nutshell, a call, and that is trip 8.
Oh, man, this is gross. A straight would really end it here for sure. I mean, especially as Corn's been waiting for a spot like this. He's been going, see, my patience is about to pay off, boys. Watch this one.
Oh, I missed it. Nutshell's open-ended, right? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Hits the straight on the turn.
Do not underestimate Corn's ability to fold big hands.
That's true. That's true. Nutshell, with the 3-1 advantage, bets 4.2 million on the turn. Corn still with trip 8s.
Yeah.
Calls and does not improve. Nutshell has the best hand, and yes, Nick, you're right. Corn with roughly pot behind. Checks it. And Nutshell may do what Nutshell does best here. Puts Korn all in. Korn calls! And it's over. That is it. In a nutshell. Who has taken down Scoop 35M, the Sunday Millions special edition. The Chilean is the champion and nets $211,549.86. Korn 2005 from Canada is the runner-up. Third Scoop final table, denied a trophy again, $150,798.93. We did say during that last break that it was going to have to take something really special for Korn to get back in this game and close this out, and it didn't happen, Nick. But that last hand, just a cooler.
Just a cooler, but as Harmony pointed out in the chat as well, this is one of the reasons why you really need to be playing the correct ranges from position. Now, this is a cold deck, not saying that's why you should always play 7-5 off. That's being results-oriented, but I think also underestimating the equity and the situations that you can find yourself in if you're playing the correct range, even with hands as weak as hands like 7-5 off. I mean, it heads up every little bit helps. And because it's such a highly repetitive format, if you're making lots of those little mistakes where you're giving away just a little bit all the time, it's happening so quickly, it adds up much faster than even some of the biggest cold decks that you encounter. So very well played. That was a huge cold deck to finish in the end, but GG, well played, and another one in the bag.
Absolutely. And Joe, are you fired up for tomorrow, closing out our second week of Scoop streams with the high roller, the super high roller?
Yeah, that's the biggest buy-in, right, of the whole series is tomorrow, $25K?
$25,000, yes.
I am looking forward to it, but I genuinely am uncomfortable even calling the action on that kind of money. So, I mean, that's for the real sickos. We'll see you then.
Absolutely. We will see you at 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. Central European time. But for now, thank you for watching. From Nick Walsh, Joe Stapleton, and me, James Hartigan, it's good night from the PokerStars Arena.